because I figured we'd just talk about our tiny note cards of notes. And I would go ahead and say that this episode brought to you by our patrons like Go Comics Qua and Nestor Flores. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, you should consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. And it would really help us out. And we do appreciate your support in all forms.
Sweet, sweet coffee. I give thanks for this coffee right now.
Yeah, I was about to say, and Lucky appreciates coffee. That's okay. I appreciate coffee too. Just for me, I did say this off mic. For me, it's almost 5 p.m. So
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna lie. It's almost 2 p.m. for me, but I only got up like 3 hours ago.
That's okay. You're basically doing what I do every day, which is at some point it's afternoon. You vaguely wake up, you eat some breakfast, you go about your day.
Yeah. Well, usually I'd be up like a few hours earlier, but the Pacific Northwest is getting its fair share of snow right now. So we had a big snowstorm like Friday, Saturday-ish. And, we didn't get we're not buried, people can go about their lives. But it is definitely fucking colder. And Lucky is part snake. When it gets cold, he gets sleepy. And when he gets sleepy, he stays in fucking bed.
No, that's definitely how cold. I have that issue when it gets cold too. It's just like, fuck, I don't want to get out of bed. The bed is warm. It is cold right now. What do I have to do with my life? But I have the opposite problem, which is Florida flipped its switch and is once again hot. It is like 80 degrees outside right now. But it still gets a little bit cool enough in the evening that the AC doesn't always kick on. So, it's kind of suffering. It's hot and sticky, and you don't sleep good.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing. I always have trouble sleeping when it's hot. I never have trouble sleeping when it's cold, man. It's like, oh, it's cold. Let me just throw on the fucking blanket. Now it's nice and heavy and warm, and I am safe. Good. I actually do need to get some blankets to put over my windows for a little bit of extra insulation, because my bed is literally right near the window. And I'm like, this was a poor plan in hindsight. Whatever. I'll make it.
Well, yeah, could be worse.
Could be worse.
Have I actually... I don't think I've shown anybody Well, I did do, a quote-unquote room tour video. Did some stuff in my physical place of living, which is on our channel somewhere. Not that anybody ever watched it. But you could probably in that... And, by the way, if my voice sounds weird when I do that, it's because I'm literally turning my head to look at my window, which is huge, and is on the front of the house. Which in the afternoons faces the sun until it goes behind the hill. So there's 3 layers of anti-sun protection on the window to prevent me from just dying in here. And I die anyway because I have all these electronics and stuff on.
See, I'm super fucking adult because I put alcohol in my goddamn coffee. I put Kahlua, which is a coffee liqueur, into it.
So you Irish your coffee.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's honestly, it's a bad idea to be mixing a stimulant and a depressant, but what the fuck ever. I'm an adult and I want alcoholic coffee. Later, I'll be mixing hot chocolate and fucking alcohol because hot drinks with alcohol are the fucking best. Sure. You're not a drinker, are you?
No,
at all?
I am not.
I don't think I have never once heard you say, "Yeah, I'm gonna have a drink."
No.
Honestly, when I think about it, I think the only reason I became a drinker is because of peer pressure. We were talking a little bit about peer pressure and how it will fucking get you. And my tale of absolute despair on Let's Talk Geo. And I'm thinking about it, I only started drinking because I was in the fucking Navy. And whenever we put into a fucking port, you know what every fucking single guy wanted to go goddamn do? They wanted to go fucking drink. And
get wasted in the bar. Yeah.
Yeah. It's beeline to the fucking bar. They wanted food and alcohol. And
well,
so
I can see why when you're on a boat for an extended period of time and you're like, fuck, we can finally get off that boat. You're like, I did goddamn drink.
Yeah, no, but that wasn't me because I joined the Navy when I was 17. I turned 18 in boot camp. So and I've had hints of alcohol in there because when I went to public high school in a somewhat seedy area, so kids would just be bringing alcohol to school, smuggling in water bottles and stuff. And so I've had drinks here and there, and I was like, nah, whatever, I don't really care about it. But once I get to the Navy, and that's all everyone does, everyone take because overseas alcohol laws are very different.
Correct.
Yeah, get wrecked. So I could technically legally drink over there, and I fucking did, and everyone was like, oh yeah, drink more, try this, try absinthe. Oh god. We can set this shit on fire! I'm like, oh god!
Yeah, so no, I didn't have that experience. I didn't.
Yeah.
I've never been physically very social, and well, actually, it's a funny story. I did, in fact, turn 21 while visiting Ron in LA over the winter break, but I was kind of ill that day. Like, I wasn't feeling great, because I'm always kind of a rough traveler. Like, travel doesn't sort me out for really well for a few days, so, like, I hadn't eaten much that day, and we've been out and about, walking around and stuff, riding buses. So I was like, no, I don't feel like drinking anything right now. And I never really got into it because for as long as I can think of in my life, alcohol has always not smelled great to me, which is, to me, is always a sign, no, I do not want to put this in my body. So, no, I never really got into drinking. And just, hey, I don't mind being that straight edge guy.
No, that's fine.
I gotta be honest, I'm not really thrilled with the idea of me under an impairment state, just because that's kind of speaks to my anxiety, but, like, the idea that me could have something going on in the mental driver's seat, I don't always feel comfortable with that, and why the hell would I drink casually? Because, like I said, alcohol to me is like I've heard people say, oh yeah, it's an acquired taste, just keep slamming it back and you'll be fine. I'm like, that's not good.
That's peer that's the peer pressure.
That's the peer pressure, and that's we've talked about this before. The human element will literally adjust to anything. Eventually, your body will. If you keep doing something to your body will eventually give up and be like, "Okay, I guess we like this now. Fine."
But yeah, but that was what I'm thinking about. Is like, yeah, like I don't drink to excess, because there are still people I know who are my age who are like, yeah, I'm gonna get fucking absolute slammed. I'm like, no, I can't do that. That is dumb. I have had 2 really bad drunk experiences in my life, and that is enough. Thank you very much. One time, like, I went to a convention. It was Norwest Con. People here in, like, the Pacific Northwest might know of it. It's a very big fantasy con. I went to a party, which is called the Biohazard Party, which is literally just free drinks. And this is me being, well, I wasn't, like, young. I was, like, mid-20s, but I hadn't, like, drinking culture is something you definitely have to learn. And I hadn't gotten to adjusted to that, so I didn't know my limits. Man, I vomited so much that day. Like,
that's also another thing is I am not a nice, quiet, pleasant vomiter. I've heard some people talk about they can do the tactical chunder. They can just go, oh, I don't feel good. I'm going to go in the other room. I'm going to throw up, and I'm going to be fine right after. That's never been my experience in life. So,
yeah,
basically, to me, nothing about the drinking experience of alcohol sold me on it. So I'm like, whatever.
When we get here, I'm gonna make you some nice tasting fruity drinks.
Probably. I was about to say those would be the stuff that would like really get me, because that's what I like casually drink to enjoy is like soft drinks. Like I mix those little like single serve things in water, just because if you drink a lot of plain water, which hey, once I mentioned how Florida's hot, you gotta drink a lot of water down here, otherwise you'll fucking start dying of dehydration, which sucks. Sometimes I spice up my water with like a little bit of like, basically Kool-Aid type stuff, or I drink sodas, because growing up, my household was not very much a soda household. So even to me as an adult, soda of all kinds is still a luxury. So I enjoy a little bit now and then, and because it's got the caffeine in it. And God knows,
coffee, just throw a shot of Kahlua or Bailey's into that. You add like a nice rich flavor with a little bit of bite. Add some pep into it. It's good for like, because as I've said, like I've bartended, so I know a little bit about mixology, a little bit, and yeah, it's like a lot of people drink. There's a lot of reasons for drinking, and not all of them will like line up to what you are, like who you are personally. Like as I said, like there's a lot of reasons that Omega doesn't drink, but I'm pretty sure I can find something fucking tasty that is not fucking high in alcoholic content that he could potentially enjoy.
I mean, that's how everybody works. Is you'll find something. Like I know some of my siblings were not really like big drinkers, but they will like hit it. They found some wine that they like, so they can drink socially, because that is a weird thing about our culture. That at some point, well, honestly, if you think about it, it's not that weird, because if you want to go back far enough, sometimes I feel like this is people trying to justify the alcohol consumption. But if you do go back far enough, like beer is one of humanity's oldest companions, just because alcohol is a beautiful sterilizer.
Mhm.
And hey, guess what? Water's not safe to drink if you get it out of the ground or out of a stream. So, you would have to doctor your water up, otherwise you could die.
Remember, for the longest time on ships, they didn't actually have water. They had watered-down rum.
Right, grog. Because that was the
Grog.
only way to keep your water sterile.
Yep.
And also, the little shot of rum makes you feel warm, which is good when you're on a boat.
You don't actually feel warm. That's just your brain tricking you about placebo. What the fuck ever.
Yeah. I know, like, Mythbusters tested that. Like, it doesn't do anything for your actual body temperature, but, like, the reaction experience you have makes you feel warm and circulaty, so...
It
whatever.
dilates your blood vessels.
The human brain is phenomenal. Have I ever told I'm trying to remember, was it a comedy? I don't know if it was a comedy thing about drugs or it was just a story I heard, but it was like, because I've watched like some stand-up comedy in my time. I don't know. It was somebody talking about placebo effects, though, I think it was just a story I read about a woman who made herself psychosomatically blind.
What?
Because she was in a double-blind clinical trial for a drug, and she didn't know which she was on. Was she on the placebo or not?
Mm-hmm.
But she overheard from somebody else. They contaminated the experiment. She overheard from somebody else that blindness was one of the potential side effects for the real drug, like a temporary state. But she was so convinced that she actually had the test drug that she went blind, and then she talked to her doctor, and the doctor was like, "Oh, that's funny because you're in the control group." So she was on basically sugar pills or whatever. She was on a placebo, but she was so convinced that she was on the real thing and she was going to go blind that her sight actually shut off or went blurry or whatever. I don't know the exact details because there are levels of blindness. But yeah, no, the human mind is fucking amazing.
It's a shame that it doesn't seem to always be wanting to do what you wanted to do.
No, that's that whole subconscious control thing.
Yeah.
Like, complete... Well, honestly, you wouldn't want complete autonomic control of your body because... manually breathing
is hard.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not sorry. Everybody's had that prank pulled on them. You are now breathing manually. Can you imagine having to manually blink your eyes every time? Because you blink a lot in little aspects. Also, holy shit, am I about to get wiped on this fucking chocolate run? Goddamn. I'm playing FGO farming chocolates while we're going. Yes.
People are still posting their fucking image.
Yes, I believe Sanzo has just punched Fran to death, and I think she's the last one on the team. Okay, I mean, I could Seals, but that's kind of a pain in the ass. I'll just start over. I need better cavalry farmers, is my problem. I have, like, only a few AoE units that are high level in that. Yeah, I didn't even hardly fucking get any chocolate yet. I'll withdraw.
Oh, she got on her first fucking roll.
And also with the fucking salter. God damn it. And that's, by the way, the I would put that in Let's Talk FGO that just came up because there's a Discord conversation going on right now. That's why I keep Let's Talk FGO muted while we do shows. So I'm not distracted.
Yeah, no, because it came out in the general chat. I was like, oh, what's happening in general? Let's Talk FGO is going to be Let's Talk FGO.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a bitch. Get me a drink.
That's right. Drink that despair away.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is interesting. We just spent 15 minutes talking about the history of drinking. Which was not at all on my notes.
Yeah.
That's a what's up promise.
We're just going to talk about whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Though, so I do want to say, I did sketch out, like, a couple general items. So, yeah, because that episode is public now because we recorded it so late at night that it didn't get done until the next day. So, that's why Let's Talk FGO was slightly delayed. But it's fine. Because it's a big, long episode, and hopefully you're happy. Where was I? Oh, I was saying my notes. So I've got 4 generalish topics I figured we would talk about. You mentioned you want to talk about Wonderfez and figurines.
Yeah!
Obviously, our ongoing Kingdom Hearts saga continues, and that'll probably have a couple parts to it. Mm-hmm. Not that I think any of you and me care about me rambling about space, but I have more space to ramble about. And also, in general, just because, as kind of an adjacent, I wanted to talk a little bit about Subnautica. So,
really?
Yes, interestingly enough.
Huh.
So, yeah. I don't know, where do you think we should start here? Because any of these could take forever.
Let's start with Wonderfest, because, as I said, I mentioned this yesterday, I wanted to talk about what's hot and fresh.
Fair.
because like I was just thinking about it. Like this is how we've been doing this like for over a year. Because last year when Wonderfest came out, we talked about it on Let's Talk FGO.
And in fact, if I remember rightly, that was one of the cases where we dawdled on air. Well, not on air, but we dawdled on mic talking to each other about figurines for like an hour before we actually recorded.
Yeah, we did, because we kept posting shit. We're like, check this shit out! And it was amazing. And it's that time again, and oh my god, people... Like, I'm not fully sure, like, how Wonderfest is. Is it, like... Because I think it's, like, figurine companies and, people who make figurines on their own. I personally, like, do their own custom work.
Yeah, there are... Actually, that's a good question. I should double check. Lucky, do you know what a garage kit is?
I do not.
Okay, I'm going to look up what a garage kit figure is, because I hear that term all the time.
Yeah.
So I will actually look up. Oh, okay. Wikipedia article. Garage kit or resin kit is an assembly scale model kit, polyurethane resin. Produced subjects. Originally, garage kits were amateur produced. Unable to find... Okay, so... A garage kit is a style which originally was amateur with certain amounts of, like, resin and even, like, injection molded, but now that they have a style which can also be mass-produced. But yeah, so some of them, when talked about as a garage kit, they may actually be talking about a work produced by an amateur.
I don't know, I see some of these fucking figments, I'm like, if this is done by an amateur, sign me up.
Yeah, right?
Because, holy shit. This is another one of those things where I want to be artistic, but I'm like I juggle too many things as is.
No, sculpting's not for me. Like I know, like now that I've bought a lot of minis, but at some point I'd love to buy some Legion, and I'll have to get used to the idea of painting tiny army men. But some people do customization and sculpting, and I'm like, listen, I think I have a pretty good manual dexterity from the years of video games, but like. Working with the putty and the green stuff and the all that in the little knives, it's already bad enough. I'm gonna have to figure out the little brushes.
I don't know. It's one of those things. Like if I have fucking the time to actually dedicate myself to hobbies and not fucking being a slave to the wage machine, it's something I could pursue. But just as I am like slowly gonna start about to falling in debt, can't do. Mm-hmm. So, but enough of my own woes of inadequacy. Let's talk about the accuracy of these people who are goddamn stellar in making shit. Like, so Wonderfest is.
Let me see if I can find the hashtag in my tweet backdrop somewhere.
Yeah, so Wonderfest is literally just it's basically a convention where in Japan. Where a whole bunch of people just bring out a whole bunch of figures. Now, so usually there's going to be like, you're going to see like three things. You're going to see a lot of anime girls, a lot of kaiju, and a lot of mecha. I've been seeing a lot of anime girls. I've been seeing a lot of Fate girls.
Yeah, Fate's... well, I mean, that's why we talked about it on Let's Talk FGO last year, but Fate has a lot of characters, and I believe is very popular for both actual production models and garage kits.
Mm-hmm. Let me see here. Oh, wait. There's more Lady Murasaki art. Let me retweet that shit. Stop. I refuse to stop.
So, like, for instance, the figure which is killing us all inside, the Romani figure, is actually, I believe, an actual figure by the Good Smile Company. Because I picked on that one just to get the hashtag, because that's the first one I found. But there are quite a variety of them, some of which are very...
Oh, tag. Yes, this is the tag. Oh, yeah.
Some of which are very on model to their original aspects.
I'm going to post this in the Patreon chat. Oh,
yeah. Yeah, that's it. Because, let's see. I don't know why, but I'm seeing... I don't know. Is Twitter tailoring stuff to me? Because I'm seeing a lot of Code Geass figures all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah, no. I see one of fucking Suzaku and Lelouch. Looks like they are being fucking gay together.
Yeah, but there's also like a 0-1 that I scrolled past in there, which looks, it's got the high detail swooping capes.
I gotta summon the Dr. Roman one. I die again.
Yeah, no, that's what I mentioned earlier.
I gotta get it. There's like
Some
Full Metal
Valhalla
Alchemist.
figure?
There's fucking
There's
like
fucking
Laid
banana
Back
fish
Camp,
figures.
JoJo, Godzilla.
There's also a wide variety. They've got like the Nendroid style like chibi ones.
They have like Bloodborne characters too.
Mm-hmm. They have the actual, solid figures. Like there's been multiple pictures of the Takemi from Persona 5 figure floating around, which is painted now. That's also something you see a lot. Is you see some of these are like either as garage kits or as just demos for a product that's upcoming. Some of them will be unpainted.
Oh yeah,
so they're
like
just
the Passion Lip.
Yeah, they're just slate. They start out as just slate gray resin, but eventually, also if they turn into like full product, some of them end up painted.
Like Ami Ami, they have a Passion Lip now where she's like literally sitting on her giant hands.
Yeah, which is one of her common poses.
Yeah, it's good. They got like JoJo. People,
there's still a lot of P5 action, which is good.
Honestly, oddly popular is fucking Raita stuff. Just like
he's always had a very distinct art style, which I think people have liked ever since Valkyria Chronicles, which is another franchise that's been around a while. That was I think it was a launch, maybe not a launch title, but it was a very soon after PS3 title.
Yeah, but you see like a lot of characters from his Absolute Girl series, his Dojin series.
Well, I think with his Dojin works, that's just pure Raita, which is so like unlike where, and some people would say this is a positive, but in Valkyria Chronicles, his design ethos is more reined in.
Salvaria is still very much Raita.
Yes, but in general, his designs are more focused because they want more balanced and even realistically proportioned characters, or at the very least, less exaggerated models. I do think that allows him to excel in his more technical aspects of drawing, like a lot of the little armor details and all the pouches and shit. Because we've talked about this before.
I don't know, Raita does have art books of him just drawing military ass shit.
Yeah, no, like he is a gear porn nerd also, and you can tell that from like a lot of his designs. Like we said, that he will go into a lot of detail about the design elements, and unfortunately,
but then he's gonna have big old titties, and everyone else is gonna figure it.
That is what I was gonna say.
Big old titties. How does that back work? I don't fucking know.
Listen, the power of the Valkyrie is an ultra spine. Also, by the way, I'm seeing a shitload of this one painted Merlin figure that people really like. That's got his card art pose.
Every single fucking time.
There's no pictures of the actual figure, but there's supposedly advertisements for Summer BB figures in her swimsuit design, which I'm sure will be popular.
Oh, what?
What's up?
They say there's a Good Smile is coming out with a fucking figure of a WA 2000 from Girls Frontline. What?
Nice.
Excuse me.
Really good for Girls Frontline.
That is really good for Girls Frontline.
Oh, hey, you and Voice can talk about that and hang out together. Because he also likes the WA 2000 and is still constantly posting about. Also, that son of a bitch already has AUG.
Really?
Yes. He tweeted
I'm not gonna
about
lie.
that.
As I said, like my WA 2000s is already fucking fully fucking affection with Ring, so Voice can go suck it.
Yeah, but no, like, but still, despite the fact that he's new to this, he managed to rush the event and get enough points to get AUG before I did. Just a shame to me.
I haven't been doing the event like at all.
Well, here's the thing: to do the points ladder, even though I think it says you don't have to do the actual event. You can do all the normal shit, like you can run normal missions and get normal rescues, which I didn't realize right away, but I'm gonna. So it's gonna be pretty easy to bum rush it in the last 6 days and get it. I just have to suck it up and plug my phone in. I'm just busy with other stuff a lot.
By the way, someone needs to die because they made a fucking Lamu figure from Fate Grand Order.
Oh yeah, that's right. They posted that in the chat. I dropped one of my favorite jokes originating from Rebuild of Evangelion. I am not okay.
Yeah.
Which I think I have a screen edit of somewhere, doing typical image macro shit. But yeah, no, that's bad. Also, I don't know. I guess it's popular. I keep seeing it tweeted all the time under the tag. There's a really cool Cardcaptor Sakura figure, which people apparently like because I keep seeing it all the time in my scroll. Basically, if you're want to know what people like, look through the hashtag and you'll see what people are retweeting. P5 still ultra popular. Everybody's tweeting about the P5 Figma. There's a little bit of action on One Punch Man.
What's this? I'm looking through the tags like right now, and so
here I will shortcut something I'm looking at in the patron chat. There's a Mesh figure that's really cool. There's also this one with Mash that I have seen a lot of tweets about.
But
it's that it's cutesy, but it's that CE.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think I've seen that before at a different time because there's a rear shot of that somewhere.
And then you come up with stuff like this. You have to actually open up to see all the images.
Listen, there's a whole thing about this. There's a whole thing for like figurines. They've captured Jolter's disgusted look perfectly.
Mm.
There's another one that I've seen. I'll link it, which is from the Type Moon Racing art, which is Mordred and Jean in like race queen outfits.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Like
people who aren't even listening to us live in Patreon chat are just like, what the fuck is happening right now? God damn it, there's that Lahamu figure. Twitter. Oh, I can't, in a hashtag, I can't say I don't like this tweet. Damn it. I'll just scroll past.
We'll definitely put the hashtag in the description so y'all can see what the fuck we're gushing about.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. It's hashtag WF 2019W. So that's pretty easy to find. But I'll put a link in the description and stuff, and it'll be in the tags. Oh, and there's a beautiful colored kit of MHXX in her final ascension pose. That's other stuff.
Oh, is that Summer
Ushi? Oh, there's the
Summer
Summer BB.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Just gotta keep scrolling.
Oh, I remember this one from last year.
Also, here's I don't know why this is in the Wonderfest tag, but here's a really weird thing, which is, I'm gonna show this picture to you, which is camera mounts on tactical grips. Get a lot of this shit.
It's probably because people are taking fucking pictures of Wonderfest. This person is probably literally saying, hey, this is what I'm going to use at Wonderfest or something.
Well, they've got a few, which are all, like, super artistic, so maybe it's, like, an accessory thing. But, yeah, no, like, hey, if you ever wanted to hold your... it's basically like an assault rifle lower, but it's got a high-action camera stuck to the top. But, hey, if you ever wanted to literally shoot film...
Like... Oh my god. I know we're kind of like not really talking about this, just going ooh and awing about shit.
Well, yeah, just scroll through the thing yourself. I'm trying to make fucking sense of it. It's got FGO mentioned in it, but I can't understand it's not colored, so I have no idea what the fuck is happening. Here, I'll show this to you. Actually, I could probably translate the tweet and see if it says anything, but... Okay, it says it's supposed to be Camelin Hill, and I'm like, Here, look at this. Sometimes you can have too much detail.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is. I saw that one. I was like, it looks really baller. Maybe when it gets painted, I'll know what the fuck's going on. Then there's this.
That's an Astolfo in schoolgirl outfit Figma, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Which we should be actually seeing that art before too long, or is that as a May? I don't know. There's some fun stuff that happens in Agartha.
There's Hokusai and casual art. I was like, God, Wonderfest is just amazing. It just makes me like, God, I'm glad I love art.
Mm-hmm. Casual Hokusai. Lots of stuff. And of course, if you actually cared about it, this would be like, your wallet's gonna die.
Yeah. If I could afford these things, I'd die. What? Someone actually made a fucking hand? What?
There's a super ultra high detail Vlad. There's a Maid Jean mock-up and colored. Nice. Now, this is just all kinds of different stuff from different franchises here.
I have to retweet Maid Jean because reasons. And Summer Fran. Summer Fran always gets a retweet. You precious thing, you. Oh, wow, there's a fucking Betelgeuse from Monster Hunter World. That's surprising. Don't think I've actually seen like Monster Hunter World. Oh, this is a cute ass stuff. Oh, what? I'm gonna retweet this too.
Here's another one that's good. Here's an Azure Lane Figma.
Oh, what? Ah, yes, Atago. Of course, it'd be Atago.
They like the Atagos.
And interesting enough, here is an AR-15.
Neato. I see there are a couple variations on the Summer BB, which is good because she has
Like,
very
people,
visually
like-
distinct costumes.
And people, like, I kind of feel like this is what some people might live for. It's like, I'm gonna make some baller-ass fucking figures. I'm gonna show them off to the world, and people are gonna want to buy them.
No, I mean, it's an art thing.
It is an art thing.
Oh, that's a great Summer Ushi because it's so smug. Hold on. It's interesting that you can capture in inanimate resin the flowing aura of smugness.
Yeah, I saw that one. But, like, again, like, what an amazing time we live in, where it's all like, yeah, anime girls, we're gonna
And
make
like as
figures
much as we are in our Patreon chat mostly showing off anime girl titties, there's also like there's ship designs in here. There's like lots of different
There's mechs.
There's weapon designs
there's a
which
whole
are being
bunch of
shown off. Like I don't know.
it's
Are these scale? They're probably not scale, but there are like replicas of Dark Souls weapons. Oh well, now I've got to show this one, and I've got to retweet it. Here's a replica figure of Holy Night Dinner, the CE, with Jolter in her dress. Here, I'll show that in Patreon chat. So
I think that was actually shown last year too. I don't know if it was painted or not.
Yeah, it might be because it seems to be that something people do for this is they will show off an unpainted Figma 1 year, and then the next year it's okay. Here's the final product. It's painted and everything.
Because I cannot imagine that these things are quick and easy.
No, not if you want to do it right. And you probably have to go through some.
Also,
you might have to go through some like color testing too.
I don't know. I think the person might be selling it. I see a price in there. I haven't like translated it, but it's 15,000 yen, which is probably around $150 US.
Which sounds about right for a Figma.
Yeah,
of that detail.
Like Figma are not cheap, y'all, but goddamn they are.
Well,
detailed.
also if you think about it, look how much detail is in these because like I've heard this from animators, right? Like fabric is very hard to render if it's like floofy or furry. This has like all of Jolter's little strands of her hair that are in that actual pose. It's got the glass, it's got the pose, it's got all the various layers and like bows and tassels to her cloth, which have all the lines in it and stuff. Like, hey, you're an artist, Lucky. How much fun do you have drawing floofy dresses? All this fucking detail lines. No,
this actually
sucks.
Oh god, this reminds me. So I'm gonna segue into anime here real quick, or unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
Not really. I'm just literally scrolling in the hashtag and talking about interesting examples, and like, I think we've exhausted most of our discussion. Besides just, hey, it's a really cool time, and these figures are really cool and artistic, and it's not just about boobs. There are also like other stuff which are amazing. The detail work is phenomenal,
but also boobs. So one of my favorite animes this core is Kaguya-sama: Love is War. And did I talk about the third episode ending last week? Do you remember?
I mean, that sounds familiar, but at the same time, I can't remember anything you said about it, so yeah. That probably means you didn't talk about it in detail?
Well, I did have to do a little bit of extra research, but I might have forgot to actually mention it. And if I've already told y'all this, just disregard me. But in the third episode of Love is War, they actually used a different ending than their standard ending. It's something a lot simpler, but at the same time, something way more fucking complex. Basically, it's just the student council secretary, Fujiwara, who's just dancing and singing. But you notice that her movements are not standard animation. It's something completely fucking different and something fucking amazing. So I actually had to figure this out, and I found out that entire animation was that minute 30 was rotoscoped. Omega, excuse me?
I said, whoa. Sorry, I had my mic muted for a second, so because I was blowing my nose and I forgot to turn it back on. Yeah, so, well, you're talking about it. You might as well explain what rotoscoping is, but for the audience.
Yeah, so rotoscoping is basically when you take a live subject and you basically draw over the live subject, frame by frame. That's it in its simplest terms. So basically, if you were to watch a play and then redraw everything using that footage, layer by layer, piece by piece, that's rotoscoping. That's what they did for this animation. They paid I don't know who they paid, But I'm assuming like some sort of idol, because it was very much an idol routine of dance and song and stuff. Had her do the routine, and then an animator like basically recreated that entire thing scene for scene. It was like over. God, actually, fuck. Do I have the? Okay. It was a lot of fucking frames.
Yeah, because here's the thing about rotoscoping. That means that whether it's in an animation cell, like in an anime, like you're animating the whole thing, or whether it's over live action, because that's rotoscoping's been a technique in filmmaking for a long time. The original lightsaber effects in Star Wars are rotoscoped in. Basically, they literally go frame by frame and they draw over the frame with the animation. So, yeah, that's a lot of fucking work. Especially like obviously you can do it with digital tools, but somebody still has to take like a mouse or a stylus and scribble the cell over frame by frame. Because hey, guess what? If they don't do it in every single frame, suddenly there's a person there or an object that's not supposed to be there.
I'm trying to find it because I think it was like over almost 10. I think it was over 1,000 frames of animation.
I'm very upset at this quest while we're playing. I don't know why, but this first wave keeps kicking my ass for some reason. God damn it, Chocolate Drake, just die faster. Why do you not die?
But, like, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it, because you were talking about fabric, and that's what it means. That's, like, my initial... That's how I figured out, like, wait, no, there's something different about this animation, is that the movements of the fabric was way too realistic.
Yeah, because I'm guessing if you were a normal-ass animator and you were literally drawing every bit of the frame by hand, or with digital tools, or whatever you want to say it, you'd, at some point, you just go, fuck no. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, because that's what keyframes are for. Keyframes are for basically linking motion together.
Yeah, so we should. There's two, as far as I understand, because I don't think either of us are really animators, though you're more of an artist than I am. But the way I understand it about animation is you have usually like two types of frames. You have keyframes, which, like I said, are the most important levels of the motion. They are the keyframes that kind of tie it together, and then everything kind of in between there are like tweeners, and they're just a lot of the fluid animation. If you catch them in a wrong pause, you'll catch like a really weird off model stuff, because those are meant to go by quick because they're part of the motion and they just snap together. And when they're playing at normal speed, your human eye doesn't notice anything because it all flows together like a little flip book. But the detail in clothing is really hard. Yeah, because it has lots of moving parts.
And that's what I noticed is there was none of the there was none of that motion. Like, you could tell that every like from like how like her leg would like influence the fabric anytime she'd twirl, how that would influence the fabric. It was all way too fucking constant. I'm all like, wait a fucking minute. And that's one of those things like I fucking love seeing, is just because, again, you know, this goes to show that some people are taking their animation super fucking serious. I mean, this was literally a minute 30 ending sequence. Someone just literally poured like who knows how much effort in that people are gonna maybe see once. Well, not me. I've seen it like several fucking times. Because,
right, but it's gonna be broadcast on TV once.
Yeah. Actually, let me see if I can.
And then like hardcore anime nerds will buy Blu-rays so they can watch it in high def. That's something that I think happens in all art forms. There's a very often distinguished between a piece of work that is for the general public. Actually, honestly, I think this is going to come back a little when we start talking about video games. But there's works that are done kind of like for the public. You do it so you can express stuff to a general audience that lots of people can appreciate and get into. Which, in some level, you can... Not that I want people to be gatekeepers.
Okay, I did.
Excuse me. Not that I want people to be gatekeepers about it.
So I did find the video.
It's good.
All right, I want you to watch it real quick and just like turn off the volume.
All right. Hold on, let me pause the recording for a sec so I can get this started and make sure I mute it, and there's no weird sound blips for you, audience. Yeah. It'll be just like when I watched Japanese Spider-Man. Okay, so basically there was a skip there, but yeah, so I watched it even with sound. Wow, that's you're right that you can notice that right away, because like the arm and hand motions are way too smooth, because they are literally, there's no, like we said, there's no tweeners, there's no like low effort in between motion shots. It's all just we're literally drawing over somebody's arms as they move and do hand gestures, and the spinning with the way that the fabric moved is like almost alien to see in that, flat 2D anime perspective.
Yeah.
That is a lot of work.
Yeah. And like, because I'm sorry, I honestly felt like I couldn't like fully sell like how amazing this was to me personally to see this. So I was like, I have to actually.
Yeah, no, that's fair to show it off, and well, actually, you can just look it up if you want, but we'll try and maybe tuck it in like the description or somewhere if we remember.
Yeah.
But just look it up yourself and you can see it. It's not too long. You can skip around a little just to see what we're talking about with some of the motions. But yeah, no, that's really high detail. So what I was saying earlier before I watched it was that there's definitely a case when you make certain artistic works. Some of them you do for a broad general audience, and not that I think we should be gatekeepers about it, but some of those are definitely for a more casual enjoying audience, right? Like they don't want to dive too deep into some of the technical process or the depths of the style or whatever. So, that's a thing. Some artistic works the artist or author does for themselves, like as a kind of self-expression thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you want to show your mastery, you want to show the detail. Some stuff people do for other artists, or basically they do it so that only the people in the craft can appreciate. I think that ending sequence is one of those last things, because I mean, a general audience can see that that's a lot more detailed than normal, but only somebody who actually knows a few things about animation will go, wow, that's a lot of work that just went into creating something that is really beautiful and fluid for like a 1.5-minute ending song on an anime. Cause wow. And you're right, they totally got like an idol dancer to do that basic, it's like what you expect from Japanese dance craze dances.
It's cute.
I mean, yeah, sure, but that's it's designed to do that.
Mm-hmm. I said, I'm not so much I'm saying I'm not so interested about the song and dance of like just the motion and animation in it. Yeah. So I guess I can consider myself in that ladder. It's like, oh my god! As someone who is in the craft, this blows my mind. Oh, it was good. But I said like this whole tangent was because you were talking about the fabric and stuff from the shelter thing. I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, that's something I've always heard animators, 3D modelers, whatever talk about. Soft stuff is. They like to say, ironically, soft stuff is hard because it's got to have like springy motion and flow and all this shit to it, which is a pain in the ass to animate.
Mm-hmm.
Which can affect the technical aspect. It's interesting because I know we're not as into the show as we used to be, but I own the Blu-rays for the first 3 volumes of RWBY, so I've listened to them with like director's commentary, and that's actually in some cases that can be kind of heartbreaking because that's late in when Volume 3 was progressing, so obviously, before the Blu-rays were made, that's when Monty passed away, which we passed the anniversary of that again a while ago. So that's always, kind of a sad thing to think about. But limitations like that, like technical limitations, really influenced a lot of the design of the show, which is really interesting to hear and kind of see how it forced them to evolve their design. Like, I really want, not that I know anything about what's going on with the plot right now, but I really wonder because there are times in there are concept sketches of the character Ruby where she had, more fur elements to her clothing, like her costume. But then I was like, but that's gonna be a real pain in the ass to animate all that stuff. Versions of her character design had wolf ears, but that was and to totally do what is technically a spoiler for somewhere in there in, I guess, for the first season of RWBY, but not that you didn't fucking know anyway, but you can tell when they eventually show off Blake's cat ears in the first couple volumes, they're very shitty because they really don't want to animate her having soft, fluffy cat ears floating around on top of her head. It just technically isn't a good design for them. And you can see that in some of the early, because the bow that's on her head is rock solid most of the time. So it's interesting to see that technical stuff. I'm glad I know that stuff because that makes me aware of the physical limitations of a medium. Like, if you're watching a movie in live action and they do some crazy ass stuff and it's oh, that's a little, you can tell that's been CG'd a little bit. Most of the time, if you know what's going on, you're like, yeah, no shit, because not everybody's Christopher Nolan, and he built a fucking rotating hallway for Inception.
Inception, yeah.
Which makes Inception mind-blowing because a lot of those weird situations were practical effects, were optical illusions, much like discussed in the Dream thing. But you can totally understand why most normal productions don't bother with that, because it's a pain in the ass that requires a whole, construct to assemble. So I feel the same way about lots of animations. Like, that was always something I accepted with stuff like Star Wars Rebels, which I watched all of. A lot of people were sometimes harsh on it for some of it. I think they truncated story elements because they were in basically a 20-minute TV slot on Disney Channel, or Disney XD technically. So like, obviously there were like fight sequences or battle sequences that they truncated because they didn't need to show quite so much effort put into them, because that's not what the show is about. But there were plenty of times where like some people would complain about modeling decisions, design. I was just like, listen, I take everything with a grain of salt, because like to model a different type of gun on a Star Destroyer, which comes up and spins around and shoots, when you already have a fully articulated aspect of the model for like its huge main guns, you're not going to build a whole separate cannon that's like you can't even see on the fucking props, because that's something actual Star Destroyers are really terrible at. They're supposed to be covered in guns. Only, I think is it in the Empire Strikes Back models that you start seeing? They've got these big octuple barbette turrets, like giant battleship gun assemblies, which you can actually see in the props. But most of the time, they're supposed to be covered in tinier guns you literally can't see. They're in fact, they don't exist. They're not greebles on the prop. The lights just come from random spaces on the hull. So, yeah, no, I'm not going to say that Disney should have spent God knows how much money modeling extra guns to come out of nowhere on the prop so that they show a little variety, even though that to a educated Star Wars audience, you're like, well, if an X-Wing gets hit by a giant main turbo laser battery, shouldn't it explode? I'm like, yeah, but I'm not going to fucking model all that stuff. You got to be practical, okay? You have to accept that there are limitations to every medium, and that sometimes that means you have to make shortcuts. It's why I think Rebels involved a lot of gas giants for no reason, because then you don't have to animate terrain. You don't have to animate land and build different land model forms if there is no fucking land. I expect this is why lots of Star Wars planets in the films were one biome, because boy howdy, it's really easy if you only have to shoot in one location for an ice planet or a desert planet, where in fact both of those locations physically exist on Earth. I don't remember where they shot the Hoth scenes. I think it was it like Iceland or something, like where they shoot North of the Wall in Game of Thrones, maybe? Tatooine scenes were shot in Tunisia. So yeah, no, like, that's a simplification for art, because you have to shoot in multiple locations across multiple planets anyway. Why do you go to this effort to portray this region as, like, a vastly different somehow than other places? Because, goddamn, you have to... That increases your shooting budget already. So, we've talked... Now, we're at almost an hour, and we haven't talked about any of the things I thought we were going to talk... Well, we talked about Wonderfest, so that's one thing off the list.
By the way, I actually dug it up, Leonard. The person who actually did the animation was Naoya Nakayama, who used to be a animator for Kyoto Animation, and they've worked on they've done a lot of key animation in between animation for a lot of things, including Free Iwatabi Swim Club. They did the Beyond the Boundary movie key animation. They worked on the Silent Voice movie. If you haven't seen A Silent Voice, the movie, you should check it out. It's definitely very good. Also, worked on Miss Kobayashi's Maid Dragon on a few of the episodes. Slight tangent. It's just been announced that they're making a season 2 of Mrs. Kobayashi's Maid Dragon, and I am super fucking hyped for that.
Yeah,
as I love Ms.
That show is great.
That show is great. I didn't think they'd ever actually make a season 2, because one of the more pronounced characters in season 2 is a giant tittied lolly, because Cool Kyo is, part manga artist, part doujin writer, likes opai lolis a lot, and likes to put them in everywhere.
Hey, that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. We've already talked about his designs.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know if they're actually gonna be okay with putting like a girl who is like looks like 10 years old and has tits bigger than her own head into an animation, but I guess they might.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I always kind of wondered because it was one of those things where they left on a very clear cliffhanger for more stuff to happen, and I know that obviously as a manga there's more story, but
oh yeah, no, the manga's still fucking going.
Yeah, so I guess maybe the question was they needed to make sure that the manga had enough content that they would be like feel comfortable continuing with another season.
Oh yeah, no, that might have been.
Which honestly, that's good because we've talked about this before. Like, goddamn, One Piece is still going on. In fact, I don't think that manga has ended either. But like at this, not that I've watched One Piece super closely or read super closely, I don't know. The show never resonated with me, and neither did the manga. So, but I have heard complaints that there are periods where the anime is like less than a 16 to 17 page manga chapter per episode, which is like 20 minutes. Oops, that's a bong. That's a big no, guys.
I just posted a picture of the character in the Patreon chat so you can see what I mean. It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, she's a dragon, so no, probably not. That's not uncomfortable because magic. I understand that I'm sure you know that magic isn't real, but at some point you have to accept in your life magic. Not everything has to be Magic A is Magic A. To quote TV tropes titles, which makes it super easy to talk about stuff sometime. I mean, like, in the picture you're showing, the huge tits are distracting from the other thing which most people in our society would consider very wrong, which is the underwear line. And if people find this image, you'll know what I mean. Because that is not how you wear those. But yeah,
so it's just like,
science.
It's like, cool,
like,
I'm
sure that there might be some aspects that, you know, because that's the thing that happens sometimes is they work around designs for TV. I remember that, you know, talking about transition from manga to anime. I remember that a lot with Bleach. They redesigned several characters because, you know who also likes huge boobs? Kubo Tite.
Oh, yeah.
He loves, so some of those costumes, because that's the other thing he loves is costume design. Some of those costumes were edited for TV. Which is really funny considering what we talk about like major mobile games like Girls Frontline and Azure Lane, where the reverse usually happens in Japan, where they uncensor certain costumes because the Chinese are prudes. I'm gonna get my ass blasted by this quest again. Why is the final thing all riders? God damn it! I need the 40 AP. The final cavalry quest is gonna make me use molds just so I can control which fucking classes show up so they stop bullying me. Son of a bitch. This has been your Omega's getting his ass kicked by mobile games update.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I've even got Merlin in here, but it's not gonna help. Maeve's here, and there's all these fucking riders. God damn it, it's terrible. No, I'm not always using mold. Why would I waste a resource when I don't need them? I've gotten like almost all the knight's chocolate just on general farming.
I keep posting Eru because like I fucking love her. She's precious, and she has giant tits.
I'm just by the expression, she looks adorable, but also there's some other stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
But listen, I love all girls who are also dragons.
Yeah. Speaking of
that, by the way, that was a slight blong. That wasn't me. That was Lucky, I assume, slamming his fist onto the table for dramatic emphasis.
Yes. Because, Omega, if you have, like, just, like, 10 to 15 minutes out of your day, you need to go watch Mysteria Friends, because it has one of the best fucking dragon girls. Best!
That's a
I know I
bold
talked
claim.
a little bit... I say one of the best. There could be multiple, best, dragon girls, okay? Okay? But you have to go see Mysteria Friends and see, the wholesomeness that is Greya and On. I'm pretty sure... Have I shown you a picture of Greya? I'm pretty sure I have. Hang on, but I'm gonna post another one. Because Greya she is good Civ. Let's see, the image is too small. Oh god, let's do... Damn it, I need a good image! Oh, here we go.
I'm having a heated debate about why boobs. The answer is boobs.
Because boobs are great.
Right, but
I go.
that's your problem, Axe. That's because you don't have what I'm about to type, so I'll just tell it with you in... You showed me this before, possibly in GIF form. I'll just say this to the audience. That's because what I was about to type was that I'm sure there is a complex psychological and evolutionary answer for those artists who like boobs, which is specific to them. But the simple way of saying that without getting armchair psychologist is just because of boobs. And hey, guess what? If you don't have that, that's fine. That's about you, not about the artists. The artists do. And it's okay to be an outlier. Outliers exist in everything, but it's like, don't throw rocks at the 90% because they're the 90%. Metaphorical rocks, by the way. Nobody's throwing rocks at anybody. Yeah. Because I totally am okay with the boobs. And
I'm okay.
Honestly, that's a big dividing line for me. That's kind of why I don't like traps. Like, I've never really gotten trap art because it's not enough. There's not enough going on there. By default, traps have to be super skinny and slim most of the time. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So yeah, there's our super tangent of the day.
Yeah.
We started randomly arguing about the aesthetics of boobs. But hey, welcome to fucking What's Up.
And I said,
I keep feeling like these are gonna be GIFs, but they're not.
They're not. They're just images. Let people like things. If you don't,
yes,
like,
that's a rule.
If these artists like boobs, they can like boobs.
That's a rule on our Discord. Actually, is let people like things. Honestly, that's something that I've thought about. And actually, you got me started on this a little bit because you retweeted a fucking spicy tweet. It's going to be very interesting considering that we're going to talk about Kingdom Hearts in a little bit.
Which one was it? I don't remember.
It was the one about plot holes.
Oh, yeah.
That I think the exact quote was like, and I checked the guy's Twitter to see if like there was any like clarification. He did actually say that it's his tendency to tweet short, concise, inflammatory things like early in the day and see what rolls back. So it was deliberately phrased in kind of an incendiary way, which I didn't like. But it was something like plot holes means that the story has to justify itself to you. It doesn't. Yeah. Which both is and isn't true. I mean, like, as a reader, if the story loses you, or I think in the original elements, the original definition of plot hole, like right now, yes, linguistic drift. Everybody takes terms and they use them until they mean something they don't mean anymore, as per ironic. But the original usage of plot hole was to indicate that your plot had fallen into a literal hole and couldn't climb out of it. There was some kind of problem where you tripped into something between A and B, and it just got confusing or bogged down, which totally happens. That can be a bad writing thing. I will agree, though, that most stuff that gets to the point where it's in a multi-million-dollar high-budget movie probably are not plot holes. They're more like little plot nitpicks. But because we have this whole issue where it's very postmodern of us to critique and analyze everything, we really pick on these nitpicks until they become more. Like a common one is, I think this may even have been that conversation that started this guy on that, is the idea that like people that complain about Thor from Avengers Infinity War, but where like he shows up suddenly in the third act climax, like out of nowhere because he can teleport now. With the Bifrost thing, he obtains the Bifrost power, but people were asking, how do you know where to go? And I'm like, I agree when people say, it doesn't fucking matter how I knew where to go. We got like 20 minutes left in the movie, and the movie's already fucking long. He needs to show up, so he shows the fuck up. Like, it doesn't have, not every little detail needs to be on camera or in the narrative, but those are the kinds of things that people will pick on and call plot holes. And then sometimes 30 years later, you make another movie to explain it, and people may or may not like that. I really liked Rogue One, so I don't care that like people thought it was a big deal. Why does this giant kilometers wide battle station have a single weak point that works? And like, well, it turns out that the guy who built it did in fact make a deliberate flaw in the reactor. He just had no idea how to catalyze it. But hey, whatever. I didn't actually need that explanation, but I still actually really like that movie. So,
if you guys, I want to say this right. If you've ever actually spent a lot of time building something, you would know you're going to take some fucking goddamn shortcuts. Otherwise, you're going to be there fucking forever.
Oh my god, so much. Listen, like, and sometimes you just have to excuse stuff Yeah, just because you're trying to do a theme or you're trying to do a genre, this is my Genesis homebrew, of which you can pseudo hear an attempt to start on our channel in an actual play, but I wrote the setting called Sky of Hope because I kind of have some novel outlines for it, and I worked on a few chapter designs, and when I feel like I have free time to write, I'll probably write more of it, just because I have a lot of stories that rattle around in my head and I keep working on, but I wrote this because that's an explicit thing to the Universal Genesis system, which Fantasy Flight produces, which is basically like, hey, when you're building a setting using the Genesis rules, actually like set out your themes and trappings. And so I was like, no, here are my themes and trappings. I'm doing a setting about mecha fiction, so young people, mid to late teens are pilots. Why? Because I made up some bullshit because that's the theme. Does it make sense? I don't fucking know. I hope it makes sense with my random expository speak, but it's just me trying to make something that you will find plausible enough that you don't care about it. But if you think about it too hard, it's entirely possible that it doesn't make any fucking sense, but
1 second, I have to go kill Camper with art.
Oh, dear. Well, I'm down to... I'll do a quick Omega's Gonna Die update. I am currently stuck with just Mash and Merlin versus the final wave of all writers, and they are still obliterating me, but we'll see if I win. Well, lucky cross-post start. But yeah, so that's my thought of the day on writing, which is... I know it's the trend of the time, guys, but you can also just enjoy things, and you can relax a little about them. You can like something without having to pick apart every little detail, and like we said, if the story doesn't explain something to you, that's okay. Sometimes that's not inherently wrong. The question is, what does that not explanation give you?
Yeah.
Fuck it, let's just transition to Kingdom Hearts, because we have a lot to talk about here.
Yeah.
Because, I finished my saga through the story so far, and I've started playing 3, so we're gonna cut through that last block, because that's basically that entire second disc of stories so far to push 2 and 3. But, like with Kingdom Hearts, sure, I feel like they could kind of kill the wizard on some of the stuff, like what the fuck is going on with hearts, dreams, memories, whatever. At the same time, I feel like the general idea of the story is it's written from this very almost like childlike place. It's playing very much to your childhood fantasies, and even now as a game, I feel like 3 is built a lot for the people who were, late adolescents, early teens, maybe mid-teens when that game came out over 15 years ago, in case you forgot. Like, I remember I follow an artist on Twitter, and she was like, is it okay if even though I'm nearly 30, if I draw myself if I draw my Kingdom Hearts Sona? And I'm like, that original game came out over 15 years ago, so yes, it's fine. You've earned the right.
Yeah.
Because,
yes, here for the long haul.
You were a tiny babu basically a babu human when that game came out. Yes. You can still be, while they're still making them, you can be like, this engages my tiny babu feelings. But what I mean is that, like, the game definitely has a youthful mindset and youthful appeal. And while at some points it is just like we talk about, just the shortcut, which is just like, listen, if you don't explain how the fuck a heart works in the story writing, that means you don't have to justify anything. You can just say hearts. But it's also very much on feel for that series. Because a lot of these games introduce more and more elements which may or may not matter, because 3D was all about dreams for no reason and explained nothing.
Yeah.
So I beat 3D. Let's go ahead and give my 3D thoughts, which is 3D is fun, but I think it's either too big or too small. It's one or the other. And there's 2 ways they could have taken that game. Considering how... now that I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3, we're gonna do a little flash forward spoilers to there, but now that I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 3, boy howdy does the stuff that happened in Dream Drop come up all the fucking time. Like, it's a major plot point in the first hour or so of Kingdom Hearts 3. First couple hours, basically. So, yeah, no, it's a big deal. So when I say they should have made it bigger, they should have just made it Kingdom Hearts 3, released it on a core console, and fleshed it out a little. Because for a core title, it's kind of short. There are only explicitly 7 worlds. And while you do play them twice, they can be paced out very differently for both Sora and Riku. So you totally could have made that into a bigger game with a bigger series and actually, like, maybe addressed more besides just try and set up Kingdom Hearts 3. The alternative is they could have made it fucking smaller because it is actually a plot point that Sora is fucking useless in the game. And thus, none of his gameplay segments matter at all. They have no real purpose. So, yeah, it's like, obviously, the whole point is that it's a build-up to a reveal. It's that, oh, it was all a trick. It was Master Xehanort's plan all along, and now he has time travel shit going on. Which, if you do want to talk about plot stuff like going over the deep end, the fact that they canonically mention that, by the way, you can fuck around in time. I mean, I know we did that special door thing in 2, but no, like, just anybody could flow up and down time with certain specific rules, maybe. If there are actually rules that I'm not necessarily sure I understand.
Oh, this comes up in 3 again. I'm going to let you know right now.
Oh, I'm sure it does, because they've already mentioned it, that, because this is funny. We'll talk about this more when we get to Kingdom Hearts 3, but I feel like 3 can't make up its mind whether or not it wants you to have played other games in the series or not.
Yeah.
So, what to you, because I know you said that, like, you only played, like, one Birth by Sleep story, you didn't finish 3D, etc. So, to you, I'm sure some of these cutscenes are important and vital, because they're refreshing you on stuff you didn't experience. But to me, there's a lot of these points where I'm like, especially since I literally did just play story so far, I'm like, I literally just did this cutscene, guys. But yeah, so 3D is a little complex, and I feel like if you could have literally cut most of Sora's contributions down to cutscenes and made it just a plot point that, you're following Riku because Riku's on his own and they're separate, and then it turns into the big reveal. It was Sora's dreams all along, and Riku is a dream eater now, somehow, which, whatever, because dream eaters are like heartless, but not, because we need adorable monsters, but now you can recruit adorable monsters, so there's good and bad dream eaters. But
it's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird and confusing. And Dream Eaters do actually come back in 3, which is what I thought was very amusing when I got the Bow Wow Meow.
Yeah, it's just a link. I don't think they actually ever show up again, but it's still fun that you, like, get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also the intro setup to... It's weird. Like I said, 3 tries so hard to get you to buy into the past series of games, but at the same time it doesn't. Like, I didn't watch all of them, but because you asked me to, I started watching some of the memory archives. The memory archive fucking sucks. It's real dumb. They're like they're like 2 minutes, and they don't even recap the whole game. Like the Kingdom Hearts 1 goes up to Sora has to fight Riku and doesn't explain the ending, and then it jumps into the Chain of Memories one, which is like, and now we're looking for Mickey and Riku because they're lost in the darkness, but we didn't explain that to you in the last video. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, it's basically just challenging you to go, hey, remember this? Go back and play this game. So yeah, no, they're real bad. But anyway, Dream Drop is like, it adds to the mythos, and it seems like it kind of consistently comes up, but at the same time, it doesn't explain anything in detail. Like, hey, guess what, Lucky? You probably know just about as much about the power of waking, having beaten Kingdom Hearts 3 now, as I do having beaten Dream Drop. So, yeah, no, it's not real clear. But it was still pretty fun, and just, like I said, I feel like the game was too busy for its length. Like, I had to sit down and grind for a couple hours to beat more bosses on Riku's side, which is the side that matters, because there's one of these points where between World 6 and 7, there's a huge level jump, and the enemies all get really tough, and it's like, well, shit, obviously you should be grinding somewhere, but it's one of those cases where you're like, but there's no natural flow to the game. I have to stop and go back a step to grind more to keep going further, which doesn't feel right. Like, at the very least, you should have paced it out so that when I naturally get to the last world, those enemies are about the level I need to be to beat them up consistently so I can move into beating the final bosses. But it wasn't. Which Kingdom Hearts has had problems with, like bosses versus just mobs, but usually you can comfortably fight in the world that has a boss to grind, but I had to build up to being able to grind the world that never was at the end of Dream Drop. So yeah, like I said, I feel like it could have used some more polish, and either it needed to be tighter or broader. Then I played Point 8 Fragmentary Passage. Lucky, you didn't play that one, right?
Nope.
So first of all, it's I'll just say this. It was the most positive experience I had playing story so far since Kingdom Hearts 2. Yes, that is right. It beat out Dream Drop and Birth by Sleep, and watching the cutscenes for Recoded and all that stuff. It was great. Because it's basically just a tech demo for 3. That's literally all it is. The combat engine is the exact same one you get when you play 3, so design-wise, it's not revolutionary or anything. Though you play as Aqua the whole time, so you get used to her moveset. That's something I was very sad about when I actually started playing Kingdom Hearts 3. I was like, oh shoot, I'm gonna lose all my cool. I lost all my cool stuff from Aqua, who is like level 50 when it starts too. So that was super fun. The high quality models really worked. The atmosphere was fucking amazing. Just the design of gameplay in that game is so cool. Lucky, if you can, you should at least check it out sometime, just to see the maps. Just because, wow, it's so great, and it also actually does kind of matter because it explains where the fuck Aqua has been. Because apparently, when you go into the dark world and you wander around, time has no meaning. Okay, but whatever. That explains where she was for 10 years of game time and why she hasn't aged at all. Because God forbid, we actually evolve our character designs, but that's a different matter. Our characters can only get taller.
Aqua is fine as design, so just leave her alone.
Well, also, I get to play Aqua Dress Up because that's another feature of Fragmentary Passage, which is you get adorable accessories like cat ears and Minnie Mouse ears and little glowing things that you can stick on the back, and you can pick her fucking dress patterns, and you can color her clothes. You can even color her clothes with a gradient. It's fucking phenomenal. So I said, the moment I started playing this, I posted this in the games chat. Dear Kingdom Hearts, can I get a Nothing But Aqua Dress Up sequel for 100 hours, please? That just shows that the underlying design of this game is so great. Also, the atmosphere is amazing. I actually turned it back up, but at first, the game has you turn your brightness way the fuck down, basically, the way the contrast is set up. Mm-hmm. So it's the dark world is dark and mysterious, and you can't hardly see shit, and it's really atmospheric, and it's so great. Also really helps out Aqua's character because she's basically suffering in darkness and loneliness the whole time.
She spent 10 years.
Yeah, just wandering around, yelling at herself a lot, basically, because, Ven doesn't speak because he's asleep the whole time, but, you do get some weird scenes where you touch on meeting Terra, you meet King Mickey in there, but most of the quote-unquote game, the, 5 or 6 hours you can play it in, and there's more too, because you can do it, multiple runs, and they got a little internal Chivo system, which is how you get all your wardrobe accessories. But just as a gameplay experience, it was super tight, super fluid. Got me really hyped to play 3 because I was like, oh, this is going to be the combat engine for 3. This is phenomenal. And just, the design was so good. I had such a positive imprint on that. So it's definitely worth a play really, really quick just to kind of see where it comes up. Also, it's got one of my favorite pieces of music, which I'm really glad that returned for 3, which is the Demon Tide theme. Yeah, because the Demon Tide is the final boss in Fragmentary Passage, and that music is just really swag. That's just a really great scene because it's you and you, Aqua, and Mickey team up against the Demon Tide in a destroyed version because it's the Destiny Islands that have fallen to darkness in the Dark World, and it's with that music playing, and it's just that's when they start to bust out the Kingdom Hearts. Aqua can do her form change into Spellbinder, and she has all the big magic finishers. Thundaja, Fireja, or is it Fireza for her, I think. But, they go back and forth in the terminology, but she's got all the big magic finishers and stuff. But they don't start doing, really big Kingdom Hearts stuff until you get to that point where you can do, reaction commands and cut-in scenes and really rad stuff. Team up with Mickey. Yeah, it's great. It's a great little prequel game. I'm actually kind of sad, though, that they didn't include it with Kingdom Hearts 3 because literally the opening of Kingdom Hearts 3 is the last 5 minutes of Fragmentary Passage. So to me, it was super redundant. But the two flow together really well. And yeah, no, the Demon Tower and Demon Tides are first of all, the fact that they make shadows scary is great, but also just that really shows off what they've done with the engine because those bosses have so much mobility and fluidity, and it works. They're freaky and impressive. After Fragmentary Passage, which, like I said, was a breath of fresh air, I'm so glad I went to that because that cleansed my soul and revitalized me to actually play 3 because, like I've been saying, going through Birth by Sleep in 3D is ooh, that's a bit of a slog. That feels like a bit of a drag down. Whereas Fragmentary Passage is a ramp up. And then I watched Key back cover. So Key is super interesting, and we want to talk about resources being used. On the one hand, super glad that they go to all this effort to interconnect everything, and you can actually get valuable, super distant backstory from the time of Kyrie's grandmother's fairy tale and shit, and actually explaining the origins of the Keyblade War in a fucking browser game. But also, god damn it, why is all this important stuff in a fucking browser game? Because back cover doesn't even cover all the story of Key. It just gives you like the intro level that you need to understand what Key is about and what's going on, and how you can put two and two together if you watch back cover and then you think about the events you know already happened in Kingdom Hearts and be like, oh. But yeah, no, it's like, son of a bitch, why is so much effort put into this? Like, whatever. We're going to talk about this, but pacing is not Kingdom Hearts' strong suit, whether it's on a meta level or an internal level. I don't know who makes those pacing decisions. Is that Nomura's fault as a writer, that he doesn't know how to pace himself? Is that Disney Interactive's fault for being like, and shoehorn in this ride or world where you want to sell movies and Figma? And I'm like, oh, fucking no. Because guess what? No, Kingdom Hearts is not going to sell Disney World tickets. Even if you think it might. But yeah, so Key is still super interesting because you get to kind of see these figures. It actually explains what the fuck is going on with the Book of Prophecy, which came out of nowhere and recoded, or I guess regular coded. But it's a big deal by the time you get to 3, so...
yeah, I had no idea what that was.
Yeah, no, hey, guess what? You need to watch back cover for that. And recoded. That's a big oopsie.
Yep. Literally, Maleficent searching some shit, I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, see, that's how it feels like when it comes up at the end of recoded cinematics anyway, because she's like, and there's a book that records everything. I wonder if that's related to the Book of Prophecy. I will search for it now. And then you watch back cover and you're like, so in the before times, in the super big long ago, when everything was one world filled with light, some dude made the Keyblade, and the Master of Masters wears the organization cloak, so you know that he's shifty, and he's a shifty motherfucker. But apparently he made this Book of Prophecy. They recorded literally everything leading up to basically the conclusion of the Keyblade War. And on that field, I don't remember the exact poem. It's like, darkness will prevail and light expire, I think it is. Whatever. He basically predicts the apocalypse that is pre-Kingdom Hearts. That, all the worlds got swallowed up. The Keyblade wielders fought over the light, and everything got swallowed up by darkness. And he's got 6 apprentices. I caught on this too immediately. All of his 6 apprentices are named after parts of the 7 deadly sins. I think the only one that's not mentioned is Pride, so I'm assuming that's supposed to be the Master of Masters himself. But yeah, no. You've got like Ira, Gula, Aka, and Ava and stuff like that, and you're like, Also, all of his apprentices wear masks, which are animal themed, so you're like, Though their leader has a unicorn mask, and he's unintimidating as fuck. Poor Ira. But like others have so it kind of explains that like each of them forms their unions, which are playable factions. You join an animal themed team because they have their animal masks, and they all have keyblades, and they fight over to gather light, and then it goes sour because the master each gave them a role to play because he knew that he would disappear, and all of them try to enforce their roles, but some of them have secret roles, and it all turns into a giant clusterfuck. But it explains why the Kingdom Hearts world kind of became the way it is. And why there are so many goddamn Keyblades in the Keyblade graveyard, because that's all the people playing this browser game. And all their friends, and etc. So I can see how it's not necessarily essential to jump into Kingdom Hearts 3, but Nomura was right in that it will enhance. And honestly, it's shorter, it's not a big deal, so it's fine. If you could like find that online somewhere, Lucky, and watch it, you would probably find it entertaining and possibly illuminating. And then we started Kingdom Hearts 3. So I will say I'm not very far in. We're not going to do our full detail. I think we really will after I've had my time to play it. And I don't know if you're doing like more extra content stuff, Lucky, like hunting lucky emblems and doing recipes and whatnot.
Oh, no, I'm literally just dicking about. I fly around in my gummy ship. I try to fight bosses.
Hey, here's the thing. Kingdom Hearts 3 is great for dicking around. Oh my god.
Oh, it is super great for dicking around.
But, yeah, so we'll probably do like a full Let's Talk. We'll actually segment our thoughts into segments, probably have like a spoiler and non-spoiler section, and give a overall review and appreciation, and possibly ask for some community input. I don't know. We'll figure out when we do that when I'm done with it. But I'm only a few hours in. I got as far as starting the Toy Story world.
It's about a 40-hour game-ish, so...
Which is a little shorter than usual, but it's also got extra content, so it, I guess, balances out.
Yeah, like, if you just try to get through the story, about maybe 40
Which
hours.
I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna take my time, because... So, step one, before we say anything bad about Kingdom Hearts 3, Lucky, I think you explicitly made sure to say this last week, but I want to lead off with it. The game has a lot of heart. So much effort is put into so many things in the right way in this game. The music design is phenomenal. The animations are phenomenal. Map and world design are amazing. Like, I thought I might be like, I'm a little... Playing Fragmentary Passage, I thought, I might be a little spoiled. I've already tried out the engine, and I actually got to start with a bunch of cool commands that way, because everybody makes this big deal about how Sora's weak now. We'll come back to that. But then, and Olympus is a pretty impressive, but at the same time, it's a lot of the... It kind of gets you used to the scale, but at the same time, because it's all new, it's just kind of like, whatever, this is just what we're doing now. We're running up mountains, you know? It's cool that you can now play the sequences that were cutscenes in Kingdom Hearts 2, but still, it's to me, it wasn't as impressive and awe-inspiring as when I got back to Twilight Town, and you go to the neighborhood and you're like, well, to me especially, because I had, a couple weeks ago, or maybe like more like 3, but whatever, a few weeks ago, I was playing Kingdom Hearts 2. I was in Twilight Town. And then I got to this in 3, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, the way just the constant, sundown effect plays over everything, the gentle music in the background, the fact that you can climb and explore and everything, the fact that there are NPCs wandering around in the town, and they have ambient dialogue, which is voiced. Like, oh my god, just the design of this game, top of the line, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. I love that GIF. But just that, the design portions of this game are perfect, as far as I've seen. Just, you've got so much mobility, so much freedom. I mean, flow motion got nerfed a little bit. You can no longer springboard from wall to wall perfectly, except in very tight spaces, unlike in Dream Drop, where, like, that's how I fucking got around, was dodge roll into a wall, and that's boing, 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 boing. You can pinball everywhere. Your distance and responsiveness in 3's flow motion isn't as good, but it's still, you can spin around pillars and stuff, which is good. The free running parts in 3 are amazing, though. And just, like, the high detail on everything. I mean, fuck, the Verum Rex trailer that plays when you start the Toy Story world, like, that's completely unnecessary to the game. That's a fake trailer for a fake game just to set up the themes of the Toy Story world. But, oh my god, I was like, fuck, 13-year-old me would have bought that. And then Lucky was like, 31-year-old me would have bought it. And my follow-up to that is, I don't know, I might still buy that game if they wanted to make it. But, like, 110% little kid me playing little kid Kingdom Hearts would totally have been like, yes, I want this game. Look how Japanese it is.
By the way, everyone agrees that because of design elements, this is basically Neuromer saying, this is kind of what I wanted Final Fantasy 15 to be.
Back when it was Versus 13, but they killed my baby, so...
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for Nomura. I feel bad for Nomura in a lot of ways, just because he's associated with this... Like, Kingdom Hearts is a huge, giant franchise that is so impactful to people's childhoods, and he's stuck running this shit, trying to make different Disney worlds make sense all at once. So, like, he has a certain design aesthetic. Everybody has talked about the fucking belts. I remember those jokes when I was, like, 12 or 13 when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. Everybody joked about the belts. But I do generally feel for him as, like, a large-scale writer and a character designer, right? Like, he's got to do work on some of this shit, and that's got to suck. Being the guy, like, being identified as the guy where Kingdom Hearts is your baby. That's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, before we say anything negative, the design, it's perfect, like a chocolate mousse. Also, yes, I've done the Bistro games. They are adorable. And Kingdom Hearts, how did you know I have a weakness for cooking in video games?
See, don't you wish it was kind of longer, though?
Yes, I wish they were more complex. Also, I wish that it was mirrored for the chopping minigame, because chopping with my left thumb feels wrong. Especially considering that Sora is chopping with his right hand, but it's left because he's mirrored to us. I wish they'd flip the perspective on that. But yeah, no, like, I do wish it was a little more complex. Because I like Cook Serve Delicious. Which there's a really weird, shitty Let's Play we've recorded on the channel that I recorded and I threw up, but I didn't decide to turn it into a series because I didn't have time and stuff, and it was kind of bad. But you can check it out. That game's fun. That's all about cooking, and it's all in that style where you, like... I play it with a controller, so you kind of, like... You tap sticks and hit buttons at certain intervals to prepare different meals. So, yeah, no, that's great. Gummy ships, all I wanted. You know, it's basically like free-roaming gummy ship, and then they have the little battles and other stuff, and it's great. I haven't even gotten to customizing yet, just because I haven't had time today. Like, I wanted to play a little bit more of the game before we got to the discussion, so I was like, no, I'm not going to futz around with gummy customization yet. I'm going to go ahead and scooch over to the Toy Story world, because everybody says that's really good. And it seems like it. First of all, just, once again, the aesthetics, like, Toy Sora is great. And, like, the articulation and stuff. It's really funny.
Just having You Got a Friend in Me in the background.
Also, yes, I was about to say, I was like, are they going to do it? The game is usually spot on with its music choices. Are they going to do... Yes, they are. Oh, my God. Perfect.
And it was amazing. It's amazing.
The music is phenomenal. The music design in the game is cool, too, because the music can actually dramatically evolve between themes as you do stuff. Mm-hmm. Like... it's just, there's so much polish put into this. And then we get to the actual writing. So, Lucky, I'm sure, has some thoughts having beaten the game that he will get to when I'm done. And he may go on for another hour. But I just want to say, first off, so I mentioned this before. 1, Kingdom Hearts 3 can't make up its fucking mind whether or not it wants you to have played earlier titles or not. So, on the one hand, like we mentioned, the Book of Prophecies comes out of fucking nowhere. Maleficent's looking for it. Why? How? What is it? The game doesn't tell you. I know that because I watched back cover and recoded the recoded cutscenes, so I know, because it was in those. If you didn't, and you didn't play those games, you don't fucking know. On the other hand, golly gee willikers, in the first, hour or so of the game, they really want to remind you that there was a secret sneaky Xehanort plot where he time traveled, and he tried to turn Sora into one of his vessels, and that really hurt Sora's heart, and it made him super weak, and he lost all his power, which, by the way, is a lie. I mentioned this in chat when I started playing right away. Like, because they upsold how he was supposed to be weaker, I was like, are they going to really shoehorn my level 1? No, actually. You get a lot of abilities at level 1. Like, you can guard and dodge roll. I think, can you aerial slide right away or not? I think you can.
Yeah, you do.
Because you air slide into flow motion. You've got all your flow motion commands, and you've got a couple of optional ability. Like, you get magic lock-on to start and stuff like that. So... you actually get a decent slice of abilities to start with. I think we said this before, that, like, Sora got taken back down to his skill floor, but his floor is much higher than it was in the first 2 games, or mainline games.
Well, that's one of those things I think is just how it is. It's like you can't, you can steal someone's, strength, but you can't, necessarily steal their skill.
Right.
I don't know.
So, but the game is constant, like I said, the opening sequence with Sora going to Olympus Coliseum is literally the post-credits scene in Fragmentary Passage. Literally. So, which brings me to the other thing. The opening of this game is super stilted. Like, there's all this front-loaded stuff, blah, 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 exposition, blah, 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 you gotta do it. I was bored because I literally just watched that cutscene, the day before, after playing that game, and I was like, yeah, give me the doing the cool stuff, when you start Fragmentary Passage, it's just there's an intro sequence, and there's a little bit of Aqua wandering with her inner monologue, and then it's like, oh, is it Cinderella's castle over there? What's that doing in the Dark World? Let me start going there, and then you start playing. Kingdom Hearts, it has the intro set up where you do your choices, and this is one of the other parts where it's kind of schizophrenic about the wanting you to have seen stuff, because the opening credits to playing the game, and once again, the intro sequence, which was also phenomenal, it's an amazing, and I gotta, watch it a million times now. But those do a really good job of recapping the key plot points of the games. All of them. You see all the big scenes played out. And then when you get to the kind of dive to heart stuff, and you're picking your choices, your standard, what power do you want, how do you want to grow?
Oh man, I didn't mention that, but no, that was real good.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. But it's built up of all the little windows of everything you've done, all the games.
Yep.
And some of the powers are like the one where you can pick the power of is it? I think it's the Mystic. That's the ending cutscene to 3D, where Sora goes back into his dreams to talk to all his Dream Eater buddies. Like those are scenes from 3D, and it's so weird that it's like, but at the same time, if you haven't played some of those games, you might not have an emotional connection or even realize what some of those scenes are referencing. It's so weird about that. And like I said, I don't know whose decision it was that the game in production couldn't make up its mind about whether or not it required you to have complete continuity or not. It's very confusing. But so I was saying that the pacing is kind of stilted because you jump right into what you would think is a core world, right? Like you jump to Olympus right away. Mm-hmm. And stuff's happening. Hades, the stars are right. Hades gonna fuck shit up. But also, Zigbar is there being a dick because that's his move. He is a dick. And also Pete and Maleficent are there, not doing nothing but being mysterious and dark. And Pete, once again, they really try to hammer home Sora's level 1 again. Pete's knocking on him, but also Pete's a dumbass and he lets you know that they're looking for something, as usual. So at the same time, well, that's the design for the world Olympus, because it's no longer Colosseum. Yeah. Like you said, you don't even find the Colosseum. It's all Olympus, and it's up and down the mountain. Design-wise, I think that shows off what the game is capable of. Like, you get flow motion, you get free running, you get some reaction commands because you can do the Trinity sled, and you can do kind of like a sledding mini games through segments over the fire, which must be really fucking hot if those stone pavers are turning to lava or something. But whatever.
I don't know if the Trinity section was actually needed because they felt really short and.
No, but they were kind of fun to be like, we're playing with motion in the game, obviously, because you have free running and flow motion. So here's another fun way that we do something fun that's like everybody teams up. They weren't necessary, but it's showing off things the game does. You get into battles and stuff. You can go through a couple different options. And then it's just like, oh, by the way, this is Kingdom Hearts. And hey, remember, you know what we're known from, but didn't really happen in Birth by Sleep or 3D because they were on tiny handheld games? Huge fucking set-piece battles, run up this mountain, fight the Rock Titan, which was in several E3 trailers, but still, playing it worked.
You see, like, I'm gonna say this, fighting the Rock Titan was one of the few times I was okay with the fucking Disney attraction.
Oh yeah, no, that worked. But hey, guess what? You dovetailed into one of my other points. The attraction thing is obnoxious. Like, it's not gameplay-wise, okay, cool. You've added a new element to the game. Like, there's all kinds of different ways to fight, and it's fun. And honestly, it's cool that they managed to be so creative with, like, and the pirate ride does this, and the splash run does this, and the teacups do this. At the same time, God, I'm so glad that it lets you auto-skip the, like, summoning cutscenes and shit, because, oh my God, that is so obtrusive that as just part of a regular-ass combo, the game can decide, and now you can do an attraction thing. I'm like, no, like for the Rock Titan, where it was a necessary reaction command type setup, basically, because it's a special unique prompt that shows up for that boss. And if you go through it right, you beat the boss. Yeah.
I fucking loved it. I thought that was fun.
That was great. Yeah! That was a great, unique design. When it just gets in the way of my regular, like I said, regular-ass combos. Yes, no, we learned that. I'm so glad that I found that out because Lucky didn't know how to do that, the L2 to switch between actions for triangle.
Yes, thank you. Someone in our last video actually commented on that. And
several people, actually, I think. Yeah. But I'm so glad that they did because I learned that ahead of time, which is super important because, yes, Lucky is right. If you don't know that, that can get super fucking annoying because you can be like, God, I really want to do a team finisher here and not start an attraction ride, which will make my team finisher go away. Or I want to do like a magic, grand magic or something. So it's really good that you can swap. But yeah, no, like I said, I feel like we should have focused more on Kingdom Hearts 2 style reaction commands as opposed to the attraction thing. Because I haven't really seen enemy-specific reactions like 2, which is a shame.
There are a couple, but they're not in the way, like, because you know the move Goofy Bombardier?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I do too. But have you ever fought that giant sand monster?
Yes.
If you use Goofy Bombardier on it, you'll actually throw Goofy inside its mouth and instantly kill it.
Cool. That's a lot of interesting, unique interaction. Yeah, no, I'm talking about like Kingdom Hearts 2 style reaction commands. Like every Dusk has reversal.
Oh yeah.
Every single nobody had like a special reaction command and stuff, and some Heartless did too. Like that was really cool and dynamic, and was not obtrusive like the attraction mode. Which is, like we said, that kind of hurts the pacing. Like, sometimes I want to do it because, like, the blaster cart, whatever one, that's like, There's a cluster of weak mobs. I'll do that. But yeah, it's a little obtrusive, but the game shows it off to you in the segment and stuff. But like, Olympus is a whole entire story plot while you're still in your Kingdom Hearts 2 clothes, even, and like, it's interesting, but at the same time, it feels weird for the series to start that way. And then you go back to Yen Sid, you switch uniforms, you get a Keyblade, and then you go to Twilight Town, which really feels like an actual intro map level. And it's phenomenal, like I said. The transition there, because most of Olympus is unique to 3. Like, there's a little bit of the town design in Birth by Sleep, but most of it's unique there. But, like, actually revisiting a world and being like, holy shit, this is your brain on PS4. Like I said, that's phenomenal. Blew me away. That's why I will never be able to say I hate this game, no matter what happens, just because of that segment.
Like, I can't, like, I think I mentioned this last time. I can't say I, like, don't like this game. Like, last week, someone in our Discord, I think it was Ash actually, said that a reviewer had reviewed it as the most disappointing 8 out of 10 game they have played. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Really that is kind of how it feels, right? Like, it's an amazing game, but at the same time, what is happening here? Like I said, like, the pacing is so stilted. There were, like, while Kingdom Hearts usually had cut-in scenes, they were, like, at dramatically appropriate moments. In the intro, there's so many of them. You get a little playable segment as Riku where you get your ass kicked by a demon pillar for no reason, and it breaks his Keyblade because that's the thing that happens now? Question mark? And I feel like it was just an excuse for the story to introduce the fact that you can upgrade Keyblades now, which is cool, and I love it, but also, yeah, no, like Ax just said, they don't actually explain how Keyblades get forged, which is just still a mystery to me, which I'm sure is something that Nomura doesn't want to explain because that's going to turn into a whole thing. Listen, you hand it to Moogles, you give them whatever the fuck recipes, you give them some fluorite and some wellspring shards, and they make magic happen. They magically Moogle it. Never mind that I literally went to Hephaestus' forge, and all I made was a cool extra shield for Goofy, despite the fact that there was a whole minigame there. But whatever, it was cool.
There? I haven't found it.
Yeah, it's in a little tucked away space. You got to go, like, I don't know exactly where it is, but it's in the Olympus map. If you go there, you can find a little place that goes down, and you come to a secret forge, and there's a giant anvil there. And you play a little minigame where you line up the urns of ore. No,
because I've been looking, because that's I have to take a picture of that forge, and I haven't been able to fucking find it.
It's down there somewhere. You can look on a map and try and find it, but it's in there. Yeah, you get Shield Plus there, but it's a cool little sequence that you can just find exploring, which is great. You can just explore Kingdom Hearts now. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot of maps used to be very rigid in design.
Just follow the water and
yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. You can find some water trails, and eventually you'll find a little drop off and just jump in.
Is it like it's actually in Olympus, the mountain?
Yeah, it's in Olympus. It's on the mountaintop because it's literally Hephaestus' forge.
Excuse me while I boot up Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah. So yeah, like the game has a lot of polish in some areas. Pacing is not one of them. As emotionally impactful as it is, the fact that immediately after you clear Twilight Town and you leave and you're going to go to another world, we're going to set out, we're going to start our journey. Kairi cut in, smash, boom.
What the fuck is even this cutscene for?
Axel's really sad because he's remembering Shion for some reason that we still don't understand, because isn't the whole point that nobody can remember who the fuck she is? Not that I don't mind seeing more Axel and or Leah, but again, especially because that's
Quentin Flynn is a great voice actor. I think
he kills it every time.
Yeah.
The fact that the man has so many different intonations and enunciations of "got it memorized" is phenomenal.
Yeah, I fucking love Quentin.
No, Axel's honestly, especially with Quentin Flynn's delivery, but Axel/Leah is a great character. Like,
yeah,
the cutscenes where he shows up in Dream Drop are phenomenal. Like, he's actually your secret, like, final ultimate team member in Dream Drop who saves the day because he shows up at the last minute, and that's when he gets his Keyblade. Because I don't know, I guess if you're just cool. If you're a cool enough dude and light enough, you can just get Keyblades.
See, that's something. I didn't know where the fuck Axel got a Keyblade.
Honestly, once again, this is like the power of waking. I played Dream Drop. I don't fucking know either. That's literally that's the pre-credits cutscene. It's like, so Leah is explaining, hey, I came to Master Yen Sid because I wanted to learn how to use a Keyblade because Keyblades are super cool. and I totally saved your butt, using my normal chakrams. And then he's like, but for some reason, I just couldn't make mine manifest. It's all in the flick of the wrist. Then he flicks his wrist, and he like, boom, Keyblade. And he's like, everybody's like, Gah! You know, super exaggerated Japanese, Wah!
Impossible!
And then credits roll. Honestly, I think his I don't like his native Keyblade design. I think it should be more like the one you get in Kingdom Hearts 2, where it's the actual double chakram Keyblade. This is more just like a chakram hilt, and then a tongue of flame comes out to form the key.
Yeah, I didn't like his, but
yeah, it's not a great design. I preferred the Kingdom Hearts 2 design, but whatever. I guess they wanted to make him unique for some reason. Never mind that Keyblades aren't actually unique, because you can see other Keyblade designs scattered around the Keyblade graveyard in other games. But yeah, no. So, I love that Axel shows up, and it's the whole thing with the ice cream and the seeing Shion's face and the crying. Like, no, it's really good and great.
It's, but again, I don't know if it was.
Like, you cut out there for a second. What were you saying?
Honestly, yeah, it's a good scene and I like it, but again, because I wasn't like, I don't know all this detail, I'm getting like bombarded with information. I'm like, was this actually really needed?
And once again, the answer is, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, they mention at the end. I mean, I think it's in Fragmentary Passage. So obviously, it was part of the lead up to this. But it was very clear that like Master Yen said, and I think he reiterates in this too, which is like, so Leah and Kairi have gone off to a place made by Merlin to learn how to use Keyblades because apparently we need 7 lights. Because that's what Xehanort said. They literally hyperbolic
time chamber this shit.
Yeah, which is fine, whatever, that works. Listen, Kingdom Hearts has already established that time is very wiggly. Okay, fine, whatever. Young Xehanort's a prick too. But there is a lot of this, especially 3 runs with this chess motif, which is also really cool, but at the same time, it's like very obvious. It's not subtle that there's 7 lights and 13 darks. But at the same time, if Master Xehanort needs the 7 lights and the 13 darks to come together, why the fuck did he steal one of the light guys? Whatever. I'm not even done with the game. I can't start picking it apart until I get to the end, and I have to question Master Xehanort's perfect master plan. But, I mean, actually, here's an important point you probably do want to know from that I'll explain if you didn't get this in 3, and maybe you can tell me if it comes up again or not, if it'll be spoilers. But, so in key back cover, Master Xehanort's Keyblade shows up again, and it's explained that that's how the Master of Masters was able to write the Book of Prophecies. He put his literal eye into a Keyblade, he gave it to one of his apprentices, and he told his apprentice, hey, so the other guys are going to stay here and fuck about, but I need you to take this Keyblade that's literally got my eye in it and fuck off and train an apprentice and give him this Keyblade so that my eye goes all the way into the future so I can see the future and thus write the Book of Prophecies. But hey, at least we know you already succeeded, otherwise the book wouldn't exist because paradoxes. So,
what?
Yes, welcome to Kingdom Hearts. So on the one hand, I was blown away because I was like, holy shit, that actually made that matter. At the same time, it's also like, what the fuck is happening? The Keyblade is an eye? Like, I thought it was just a motif, but it's like, I'm wildly gesticulating with my hands.
There's a lot underneath the hood of Kingdom Hearts, like, just lore-wise.
Yeah, and I said this, I'm impressed that technically Kingdom Hearts can make every bit of its continuity matter. At the same time, that can be hella frustrating.
Yeah.
But they're making an effort, which you have to applaud at least that effort is given.
Lots of heart.
Yes, lots of heart. So Master Xehanort's Keyblade is from the dawn of Keyblade time, and it sees the future, which is probably where he got all his dumb ideas about future past shit, whatever. So anyway, yeah, so that's probably important to know, which may be why he's doing so many plans within plans.
Is that it? Oh,
sorry, but I love this joke because I mentioned this when playing Twilight Town is you know, Remy, little chef, jumps up on Sora's head and immediately mind controls him. I'm like, I said, theoretically speaking to Donald and Goofy, hey guys, if a mysterious rodent hijacks me, could you care a little bit more? What if he was a sleeper for the organization?
Oh my god, I finally found the fucking forge.
Good on you. Oh, fuck, that means I gotta go back there to get lucky emblems, maybe. We'll talk about the phone in a second, because that's another adorable feature.
Like, literally right on the fucking forge. Boom.
Yep, right there.
I'm gonna take a selfie.
Yeah, you are. But real quick, I just want to say that like we had a joke in the chat, which was like, so that Remy was secretly the highest power level because he can just assume control of humans. He has one enemy, Master Xehanort, because he's bald. So I joked, clearly Master Xehanort foresaw that this would happen because he has plans for everything, and he went bald deliberately so he could not be controlled by a tiny chef rat. And you know what? You could believe that plotline. But yeah, so the fucking phone, that's amazing. I love the gummy phone. And I said this in chat, but I love the fact that Sora doesn't understand what a smartphone is because when this franchise started, smartphones did not exist.
Nope.
So yeah, of course, technically he would have no idea because that technology wasn't around when these games started. Like,
yes, Sora, hold up the flames of Hephaestus.
It's nuts. But also it's adorable because immediately what does Sora do? He starts taking fucking selfies.
Yes.
You can flip the camera around. I posted one which I thought was hilarious. Hey Heartless, it's me, your boy. Outside of the haunted, mansion in Twilight Town, just because I was like, this is what would happen. Sora would be a fucking ghost hunter taking fucking ghost hunter pictures. I said that he should become a Disneygram model or a gummy tuber. Do some sick parkour videos. And actually, it's funny because you immediately said, hey, when he's not keyblading things, he could go off and do whatever. Almost literally after you said that in chat, I ran into, like, Hainer and Olette, who were talking about, like, Sora, don't you ever take a break? And I'm like, that's really funny. Because we were just talking about that. But yeah, no, and you can get the fucking Classic Kingdom, which I jokingly called Mr. Mickey and Sora, as in Mr. Game & Watch, or maybe because you don't play as Mickey, Mr. Game and Sora kind of thing. Because that's the kind of level of design they are, but those are super adorable. And they're QR codes. And it's once again, talking about heart, it's a great addition to the game because you can take your own dumb screenshots, you can put Sora's dumb face and everything. I've seen screen caps online and tweets where, like, your buddies like Donald and Goofy will react if you take selfies with them in it. Mm-hmm. Like, they'll actually change their expressions and ambient stuff. Which, by the way, is another fucking thing I talked about before, but not only do NPCs have ambient dialogue, your party members have ambient dialogue. Oh my god, game design.
It's so good. It's so good.
Also, people who think Donald is unintelligible are wrong. They just never listen to Donald Duck. Trust me, I have put in probably close to 200 hours with this motherfucker with no pants. I understand him just fine. I was totaling this up because another joke I said was that I felt kind of bad for Xemnas and Ansem because they're the final bosses of 1 and 2. And over the 15 years of this franchise, where in the year of our Lord Mickey Mouse 2019 do they show up? They're fucking taunting Sora like it's on the schoolyard. They show up just to go, neener, you can't save Roxas, he. And they set they're basically their respective gangs on you and they fuck off. And I'm like, God, you guys, this is what you're doing with your time now? Don't you have anything better to do? And the answer is no, they don't. This is their plan.
Well, no, because literally it also kind of makes sense because the master plan is to get the 13 pieces of fucking darkness and 7 lanes light, and from what they say, it's like they're already ready. So literally, like, fucking around.
Oh yeah.
With,
so basically, the end of I'll explain again for you. The literal climax of Dream Drop is Sora is trapped in dreams, so he can't do anything, and the true Organization 13 has been assembled across time. They've got Ansem, Xemnas. This is where we reveal that Saïx and Xigbar are possible Xehanort vessels. Young Xehanort is there. There's a shitload of other guys because apparently they've got 12 members who they don't introduce in Dream Drop, but they exist. The actual bald-ass Master Xehanort is there, and he's like, the time is right. According to prophecy and time paradox shit, we have perfectly prepared for this exact moment where 13 of us will assemble, will take over Sora's heart, will be the truth of Organization 13. And then you fuck that up. So they have 12 out of 13 guys, and then they literally just missed Sora by about this much, only because Axel showed up at the last possible second, presumably because, and Master Xehanort makes sure to say, everything has gone as I have predicted. There's only the future from now that I don't know. And then Axel shows up after he says that, so naturally, duh. But he shows up at the last possible second to screw up Xehanort's future set, and then after you beat up young Xehanort as Riku, in an okay boss fight. It was all right. Could have been better, but it was all right. Then Master Xehanort is like, shit, the time of the time conflux time thing has passed. We must all fuck off back to our own time periods. We out! And they fade into darkness. And Sora's still asleep, and Riku fixes him for the real final boss fight, which is actually super rad. But yeah, so that's the climax of Dream Drop is Xehanort is literally 12 out of 13. So yeah, no, obviously their plan is pretty far along, and I can, like I said, at the end of Twilight Town, Xemnas and Ansem are fucking talking to each other, which is so weird, but also really cool. The fact that they actually can speak to each other, but they're like, yes, we're working on our final plan, and then we have backups because we're not idiots. So we'll do the thing. So you can easily kind of get the idea because they mention about how, hey, we'd love if you try to make Roxas come out of your heart because that would mean that you became a Heartless again, which would be cool because then you'd be filled with darkness. Isn't darkness rad, Sora? Come on, you want some darkness, bruh? And he's like,
Real talk, I am, like, I don't know if you run into it yet, but they did keep the Rage form from Kingdom Hearts 2, which has saved my ass a few times. It always makes me feel guilty when I have to use it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're ever going to explain anti-form. But,
yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, it totally makes sense because I mentioned this before, but Sora's a weird existence where technically he was, for the tail end of Kingdom Hearts 1 and all of Chain of Memories, Sora is technically a Heartless fucking around with like a fake body that Kairi made because she's so pure and awesome and cool, I guess. That's what happened. Or at least Sora remembering, or Kairi remembering Sora allowed Sora as a Heartless to take his normal-ass form. I don't know. It's weird. But remember how the Heartless Nobody thing works. Roxas is literally Sora's body, who's off fucking around for almost a year, or over a year, actually, without him. And then it's like, yeah, this is confusing. But I think that's one of the reasons why Sora is weird and special, because he's not a normal-ass existence anymore. If he's ever been.
Honestly, I feel like Sora should be dealing with matters of, like, light and darkness a lot more than he is. Kind of like how Riku is.
Yeah, I think it's because, well, first of all, yes, that's a problem that Riku has that's his whole plot arc in 3D, which is, it gets kind of annoying because it's like, I'm still upset over all that bad stuff I did, and I hurt my friends. Even though I technically kind of, it may have looked to you like I got over that at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, but I didn't really get over it.
PTSD. Oh.
Ugh, I feel bad. And also, Ansem shows up all the time to fucking taunt him, because, that's one of the 3D plot points is, why the fuck are Xemnas and Ansem back? Because that's when they revealed, oh, by the way, if you destroy a Heartless and a Nobody, they become a whole person again. As opposed to whatever the fuck Master Xehanort did to Master Ericus, who is definitely dead. But if you keep turning people into Heartless and Nobodies and killing them, they just keep coming back. I will see if Kingdom Hearts 3 finds a way to solve this problem in the future. Don't spoil it for me if it does.
Everything gets solved with fucking friendship.
Of course. Because that's the other thing that we constantly go about. Sora's bonds are his power. The connections between people are what strength are. That's one of the random-ass loading screens, actually. My friends are my power. From question mark, question mark, question mark.
Real talk about the loading screens. Apparently, everyone has discovered social media, and they fucking use it.
And it's great. Honestly, at first I was a little upset and shocked that there was so much loading screens in a Kingdom Hearts game, but honestly, the design they used for it really works. It's funny. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. There's the thing, Axe. I'm really enjoying the game so far. Like, most of the time, I'm willing to give it a lot of pass on stuff, so we'll see. But at the same time, I have undergone this, actually, I missed a point earlier. I was going to say this when I was talking about Xemnas and Ansem together. I totaled up how many hours I'd put into the Kingdom Hearts franchise because, like Lucky, you said to me, like, you haven't even begun to see the bully, and I'm like, you know what? I mean, I have been dunking on these guys for over 100 hours, probably more in this franchise. So, hey, if they feel like that's how they want to get back at me, whatever. Because, yes, I have, 1 and 2 are both probably about 50-ish hours. I quit Chain of Memories before I got all the way through, but that's also like another, that's a long-ass game if you play both story arcs. And then there's, a couple hours worth of cutscenes in 385. There's all of Birth by Sleep, which all told was like another 40-ish hours ultimately, I think. Yeah, like 45. Though, to be fair, I did not dunk on Master Xehanort in Birth by Sleep. He completely dunked on me. That's the whole plot of the game, is that Master Xehanort wins. But, so that was another one of that, and then there was, God knows however many hours of cutscenes Recoded was, that was way too many. And then I put in, like, 30 or 40 hours into Dream Drop, and then I put, somewhere between 8 to 10 hours into Fragmentary Passage, and now I'm here. But yeah, so that's well over 100 hours, probably getting close to 200 hours of Kingdom Hearts franchises, where, at the very least, I have done nothing but try to oppose Xehanort, and most of the time, I've been kicking his ass. At least at the end. So, hey, whatever. You want to show up and Playground taunt me, we'll see. But yeah, so I'm not very far in the game. Like we said, it has a lot of heart, but the writing pacing is weird, and like I said, it can't make up its goddamn mind, which hurts it. It's not a good look. Either, if you're like me and you've played everything, you're like, holy shit, this is redundant. Why are you literally showing me this cutscene? Like, I mean, I know you don't know that I literally just played it, but at the same time, you're selling story so far and have been for several months before this, and knew you were going to do that before this game came out. So, like, why are you putting so much emphasis on literally showing me events I have seen probably recently? Or you twist it and you do bad on Lucky, who hasn't played these games all the way through and, like, hasn't... you deliberately did not play games again beforehand and hadn't necessarily finished all of them in the past anyway. And, like, some of these plot points, you're like, what the fuck does this even mean? And I'm like, Like the Book of Prophecies, that literally doesn't come up unless you played Recoded or Key, which I constantly want to call Kai, because I'm sorry, Japan, that's how you actually pronounce that Greek letter. But I know you want to make it a Key thing because Keyblade, and also because that's how you guys pronounce Chi. Key. Hold on, let me check the timer real quick. We're at 2 hours. So, hey, Lucky. Do you have any thoughts that are non-spoiler you want to talk about beating Kingdom Hearts 3? Because you did that, like, immediately after we recorded the episode.
Yeah. The ending is subpar, I want to say. Ties up a lot of things, and it doesn't really go off script, but... It doesn't feel like a Kingdom Hearts ending. It doesn't feel like... It feels like they maybe, like, intentionally left some things open. You don't actually feel like this might be the conclusion.
Yeah, that's going to make me personally mad, because I was like, I said this several weeks in a row on What's Up leading up to this game coming out, which is like, I am ready for this goddamn franchise to at least hit a wrap-up point. But no.
Yeah. No, it feels like, It feels like, oh yeah, we might be done with this chapter, but especially once you watch the ending movie, not the secret ending movie, just the regular ending movie, you're like, shit, there's still more coming.
Well, and also, here's the thing, I was double checking into whatever the latest version of Key is it Union Cross, whatever, but like, that's still ongoing, and now that Kingdom Hearts 3 is out, I think it's advancing the plot, so very clearly they are still moving the plot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, son of a bitch. My fragile teenage heart is not ready for this series to keep going.
Like, honestly, Meg, you can watch the secret movie and not be spoiled on anything. Honestly, you can probably watch the regular ass ending movie and not be spoiled on anything, because both of them are shit that just comes out of fucking nowhere. But honestly, like, that's what I kind of expect from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the secret movie from 2. Yeah, which was the lead into Birth by Sleep, which made no fucking sense, but was really cool. And the music was great.
Ending movie, epilogue, same damn thing.
Oh yeah, I guess it depends on what you're doing, but there's a
post-credit scene.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's a pre-credit cutscene, which is the actual ending after you beat whatever the final boss is, then there's credits roll, and then there's a post-credit scene, which is the final movie and sometimes the secret movie.
Yeah, so, like, during the final battle, like, like we're gonna go into gameplay, the final battle tries to seem to be cool, but it literally basically puts you by yourself, even if Donald and Goofy are still with you. Also, I want to give a major shout out to Donald and Goofy for sticking by you all these years, through all this bullshit that you've been going through.
Yeah, they're great guys. I love those guys.
And it pays off in the end. Like, personally, like, my favorite moment of the boss, and, well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but, it actually uses your, controller speaker, which is a function that is rarely used in, on
That's
PS4.
cool. That's a good effect. And that feels like a very Kingdom Hearts thing to do, is to, like, throw in that little bit of extra to get you with the emotional.
Yeah, like, I don't want to ruin it for you, because it's really good. It almost made me cry. Because, like, in that moment, I realized, like, how much, like, I've gone through with these guys. Because, like, that's what I was thinking about, like, with a lot of RPGs, especially, like, numerical, like, ones that have, like, multiple entries, you never stay with the same fucking party. Someone always leaves, someone always, like, goes, does other things, you meet, like, new party members and all that stuff. Like, no, for, like, the three numbered sequences, and even, like, in bits and pieces of the other ones, when, like, you know, Sora's fucking, you know, brain dead or whatever, it's like, no, these guys have been by your side the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fucking important.
And honestly, I want to say, that's kind of why I feel like that's one of the flaws, I feel like, with the way Birth by Sleep and 3D are designed. Because, yeah, okay, in 3D, your two party members are your adorable critters. Now you can make heartless designs your friend. They're not heartless, they're blah, blah, blah. But that's a whole different thing. Where the enemies in this game have a very specific aesthetic that they have to constantly use, even if literal heartless can't be used because of reasons. Womp womp. But, like, that's something that they miss, in that you have almost no party in those games. Like, in Birth by Sleep, there's a couple of fights where you team up with your buddies and then you're separate. Mm-hmm. And in Birth by Sleep, it kind of works because that's kind of the theme. Like, in Fragmentary Passage, that really works because, like, Aqua is, literally fucking alone in the dark world so much. And then at the end, you actually bump into Mickey, and you have an actual fucking teammate for the last little bit of the game. So, like, that's a super good use of no party members. But, no, you're right. Core titles, those guys have been with you for a long time, and it's a big deal that they come back to you. And, honestly, that's something that Recoded does very well, which is, like, emphasize their friendship.
Yeah, because it's like I know, like, they're Disney characters, and, like, literally, like, the two, like, most unlikely duo who were, like, I would, like, consider them, like, almost like Sora's family right now, because, like, you have Donald, who's, like, constantly harping on Sora and telling him, you know, to, you know, be a better person, wise up,
Get
you know,
good.
make better decisions. But then you have Goofy, who's also, like, he's the laid back, who's also kind of the voice of reason. And, like, it's, like, such a good
Donald
dynamic.
Donald is emotionally temperamental. This is really funny to say, to do these serious character analysis of fucking Disney characters. But no. In-game, Donald is the emotionally volatile one. When you meet his past self in Dream Drop, he's, like, really scared. And even that he has some of that in later versions where he's, like, he's not so sure of some things sometimes. But also he's quick to fly into a rage and freak out a lot. Mm-hmm. Goofy is the even keel, who's not the brightest, but he always kind of knows where he's going, and it works out a lot for everybody.
Yeah, and, you know, they're the 3 half pints. They make 1.5 pints. It's like, it's actually one of their fucking, one of their tags when they're talking about each other. And that actually comes up. And so, like, in the end, like, okay, so, like, so, minor spoiler, I don't know, like, during the final confrontation, everyone's assembled and it's like, alright, we gotta hold back the fucking darkness or whatever. And Sora's like, okay, I'll go in it alone. And he start walking forward, and Donald and Goofy just start walking with him like it's no big deal. And he's like, what? He's like, and they're like, what? It's like, that was like one of those moments that, like, spoke to me. It's like, oh my god. That was so good.
That is 100% them. Like, to just do that, like, I'm gonna do it alone. And, like, no, like, if it was Riku who said that, everyone would be like, oh, well, fuck it, Riku's gonna do it alone, man. That's Riku's thing. But when Sora does it, they're like, are you fucking stupid? Why would we not? Why would we not go with you?
Like, oh my god.
Because they're the same way about Mickey. They just, for some reason, Mickey actually gets away with going it alone sometimes, somehow. I'm not sure how. Yeah. But maybe it's because he's the king, so they have to listen to him. But they're constantly trying to go with him, and he's just like, nah, guys, I gotta do it alone. For some reason. I don't understand why, but that is how it be.
Yeah. So, fucking, like, honestly, that was, like, my favorite part of the ending, is just, like, seeing, like, all this shit with Donald, Goofy, and Sora. But, like, other than that, I was like, eh? Especially like what they do with some of the characters. Like they've been talking about this in the spoilers and other things. So I won't get into it. But I'm just like, excuse me, can we have a bit more character development here, please? Thanks. No? Okay, bye.
Yeah, that's always I've heard this a lot, that people kind of feel like they have very swingy reactions, and there's a lot of feeling like there's a setup, which I don't want. I didn't want this to be a setup. I wanted this to be a conclusion. And okay, if you're actually going to conclude it later, that's fine. And hey, guess what? We talked about there's a fuck ton of plot threads in Kingdom Hearts. If you needed a game to bring them all together, that's okay too. I kind of wish that game hadn't been Kingdom Hearts 3 then, after so long. But fucking whatever. I don't make the high level decisions.
I could definitely say that everything's on track now.
Yeah, that's good. Like if they actually want to do the grand unified theory of Kingdom Hearts and bring it together.
Yeah, they've definitely done that. They've tied up some things. They've added a couple lines, I guess.
Also, if for the love of God, it means that you can act. I mean, actually, honestly, 385 did this, but hey, if you can just expand the fucking playable characters and just let me play all those people at once, that'd be a great game. Like, literally let me play the 7 Keyblade guys, that'd be a cool game mechanic. I guess they're gonna run into a problem with the fact that, Sora and Ventus have, if Ventus actually did come back, have quote-unquote the same move list, and that Riku's move list in 3D is... I found this was very thematically interesting, by the way, but Riku's move list in Dream Drop is half Terra, half Aqua, which is really interesting from a thematic standpoint.
Well, let's see, if I remember correctly, Terra gave Riku his Keyblade.
Yes, it's Terra's Keyblade, and that's why I feel like early on they have a lot of similarities. Terra also gets Dark Faraga and stuff like that. He gets a Meteor, which Riku can learn in Dream Drop. But Riku also gets stuff like Double Flight, which is Aqua's double jump move. And
this reminds me, because I'm using it the fuck right now. Glide is amazing in Kingdom Hearts 3.
That's good. I feel like gliding turned out to be a real key part of these games, and I'm so glad.
Because remember, like in 1 and 2, you had Glide and Super Glide, right?
Well, in 2, you didn't have Hyper Glide.
Oh, what about gliding would like eventually like put you on the fucking ground?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Kingdom Hearts 3, that doesn't happen. You just stay in the fucking air forever.
Yeah, with Kingdom Hearts 2, you had to upgrade Glide all the way to, like, the highest level by grinding Final Form.
Yeah, no, when you get Glide, you can literally just fly in circle. And it's faster than running, so if you jump and just glide, you can actually, like, move faster.
And I bet in some of these map designs, that's fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah. I'm literally doing figure eights in Twilight Town, like, right now.
So, yeah, like we said, the game design part of the game, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. Best game.
Best game.
The writing leaves a little bit to be desired, and yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have similar thoughts to Lucky on at least the conclusory nature. Because hey, guess what? If I did the whole Road to Kingdom Hearts 3, I played the whole collection. I wanted to fucking bookend. If I'm not gonna get it, if it's just to be and another book is coming, I'm gonna be depending on the payoff, I might not be pissed off, but I'll probably be disappointed. But we'll see how the ride feels from there, because at the very least, it's got a good ride. And I've listen, just if Mr. Numra, if you're listening, after you get done with my fucking Final Fantasy VII remake, which could you speed the fuck up,
full
sir?
Time now. Full time now.
Please. You're working on that now. Hey, if next time you make it'll probably be on Switch, which will hurt me, but the next time you make a Dummel spin-off game that's going to introduce more plot threads you have to reintroduce in the main title, can I get a playable Kairi? Like, full-blown playable Kairi as a player character? Just saying. Help me out here.
See, that's what I mentioned, like, last time. It's like, all the original characters are kind of set up in threes.
Yeah.
And Kairi has definitely gotten the shaft on fucking development.
Yeah. Which it's a shame that they waited until literally 3 to actually monopolize on that, because that, I mean, fuck, Dream Drop was that whole thing was like, that's how Riku's gonna come into his own. At the end, Riku is actually named Keyblade Master, which I think is kind of why he has some of Aqua's moves, because that was her thing in Birth by Sleep. She was the only one who actually got named Master. Mm-hmm. Not that made much sense, because Yen Sid made Riku a Master because he mastered the power of waking, but I don't think Aqua had any special power, whatever. Kingdom Hearts, you have to say whatever a lot, because what things mean and need to mean in the story can drift over time. because this game series has been around a long fucking time. But like I said, if you actually cut out the Sora parts, which kind of drag and don't add anything, Dream Drop is a great Riku story, which actually gets to the heart of Riku, dealing with the fact that, yes, he was a shitty friend once, and it really sucked it up for everybody. Like, that's a major aspect of things going terribly wrong, was you getting possessed by darkness, Riku. You fucked a lot of shit up. So he has to kind of get over that and learn how not to be a dick and learn how to teach others how to not to be a dick. Because he has this conversation with people, which is like, hey, listen, do what your heart tells you and get out in the world. And when I say that if you stay trapped in this space, both physically and metaphysically, it's going to tear you down, I'm speaking from experience. Like, he has that conversation in the Hunchback of Notre Dame world where he's, to like Quasimodo, he's like, bro, you need to go outside, because if you stay in here and your heart stays in metaphorical here, things are going to go poorly for you. Trust me, I know. And like, I'm like, yeah, that's great character development for Riku to be the mature one to say, hey, I've done some dumb shit in my life. Don't do dumb shit. And it really helps him grow as a character and also sets him up in this unique space that he is the only character we've encountered so far who has gone so far down the darkness rabbit hole and come out the other end that he can, I think the way Xehanort phrases it, is perfectly contain darkness in his heart. Like, if darkness is inside him, it does not control Riku at all. You can't influence it. You can't do any weird darkness juju to him, but he can still do dark stuff to you. And that's kind of cool that that's his shtick.
It's a shtick.
That's why the true Organization 13 can't use him, because if they tried to put more darkness in him, it wouldn't work. Because he's, like, perfectly insulated.
He has the balance.
But then, it's weird, in Kingdom Hearts 3, he immediately jobs to a demon pillar. And he breaks his sick-ass Keyblade. Why? Though, admittedly, now that I know the thing about the eye, the fact that his Keyblade has the eye motif too, that's also a little weird. Dunno.
I think it's just they wanted to give him another Keyblade because he leaves the key, he does things with the broken Keyblade.
Yeah, he leaves it in the desert for the other me, and I'm wondering if that'll come back.
It does.
I figured it would.
They actually do go into a little bit. That's the thing, like, Riku gets a decent amount of screen time.
That's good. I like that,
shit.
because I feel like, ever since the climax of 2, they kind of, like, broke that open that, like, okay, from now on, Riku has to be an actual part of the games. He can't just fuck off and do his solo thing. And Dream Drop was really good about that, because that was, like I said, that was really Riku's story. Oh yeah, Axe, you bring up a good point about Chain of Memories, but at the same time, that's, like, one that was kind of that was a pseudo spin-off title, because, like, that was in a weird place where it's a pseudo remake of, like, the original, but then they turned an original story onto it. But
also, that wasn't actually the real Riku?
No, it was. Correctly? If you play the reverse side, that's real Riku. He's in the basement of Castle Oblivion. He goes from, like, floor -10 to 0 or something dumb like that. But yes, no, by the way, canonically, Mickey and Riku find their way out of the Realm of Darkness by wandering into Castle Oblivion's basement. I don't know why exactly that happened, still. But yeah, no, you play as the real Riku in his storyline, but
okay.
It's...
I know,
he's still grappling with his, like, inner darkness and stuff, and, like, he's still not teamworking with you. The whole point of the game is that you're still separate, and, like, Destiny is still keeping you apart. What I mean is, like, 2 is like, fuck Destiny, we're back together, bros forever, we're gonna beat the final boss. So I feel like 2 kind of, open that Pandora's box of, no, Riku is a total, Riku was playable for a brief second, but also he was, like, actively tag teaming with Sora. So,
oh man, it was so good.
It was really good. That boss fight is great. But, like, so I'm glad that they kind of stuck to their guns and, like, no, he still shows up and he still does stuff in 3, because it's hard to put that back in the box. Though he did, like I said, get a very strong spotlight in Dream Drop, and honestly, I think he should have gotten more. Like I said, they totally should have just streamlined the playable segments as Sora, because they add nothing. And also, Sora's unique combos are boring. Oh, golly gee willikers, I'm going to do Ars Arcanum again. Or I'm going to do the tornado move that Ventus had. Or I'm going to do Spark for some reason.
I do enjoy, like, in Kingdom Hearts 3, like, moves like Ragnarok and Ars Arcanum and Strike Raid are just part of your fucking moveset.
Yes, I do love that they did that.
Yeah,
that's good, because that was, honestly, those have always been annoying to, like, those are your iconic moves, but they were always very weirdly inserted.
Yeah, just so, like, when you get, like, the only one I haven't seen is Strike Raid, which I kind of miss.
I'm sure it's in there somewhere. I'm not sure where, because the thing is, though, that raid moves got turned into, like, a whole class where you throw the Keyblade at stuff.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's right.
Circle Raid.
I've seen the others, but
Light Raid.
Fucking Ars Arcanum, Ragnarok, Sonic Blade, excuse me.
And I do know that from playing Fragmentary Passage, they kept all of Aqua's, like, particular, like, her form change up to Spellweaver, and then she does her finish.
Yeah, like I'm so angry. Like in Kingdom Hearts 3, I like only got to fight with as Aqua once. It's a good battle.
Yeah, that's definitely. Hey, if you want more of that, you definitely need to pick up Fragmentary Passage. Like I said, that's like minimum 6 or 7 hours of just her.
It's oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's an in-depth tech demo. Like, the stuff that sets up Kingdom Hearts 3 is only at the very end. It's mostly just Aqua, like I said, fucking around, dealing with her inner demons in the Dark World, and it's cool as hell.
Yeah, but, like, for the ending, like, because, like, the cast assembles through various means, and it's convoluted as fuck. It's Deus Ex Machina as fuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's another thing. It's like, I've talked about how Kingdom Hearts has very childlike storytelling. It's always been like that. Like, I mentioned this before, how does Sora unturn from being a Heartless? He hugs Kairi and light happens. What does that make sense? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Light and Hearts did it. Whatever. Deal with it.
Like how they got Ventus back to the fucking team, because that happens. It's gonna happen.
expect, that's gotta happen. That's an explicit thing. Master Yen Sid says we gotta assemble we gotta get those 3 scrubs from Birth by Sleep back, because they're the only other Keyblade guys we know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we're at some point Sora's gonna figure out the thing, and we're gonna fish Ventus out of the Nether Realm.
Yeah. You actually, I think you go back. Well, you go back to fucking.
Well, yeah, because he's in Castle Oblivion, and we've known that for a long time.
Yeah. Oh man, but what a fucking. Oh man, it's so cool.
I bet it is. That's the thing. Set pieces, I guarantee, are gonna be cool. Because
what
sequences.
What Aqua does to fucking Castle Oblivion is fucking badass. Like, it's
well,
amazing.
Here's something you may not have known, but I think it's the secret movie for Birth by Sleep. But Aqua made Castle Oblivion.
Yeah. Okay. If you know that, yeah, she fucking locked what was it, Radiant Gardens or whatever?
No, it was the World of Beginnings, which was where she trained.
She basically turned that into Castle Oblivion. When I saw that blew my mind, because that was one of those things that, like, I was okay not knowing.
But at the same time, it's fucking rad, right?
Yeah. Because, like, I was able to put fucking 2 and 2 together.
So yeah, no, that's why Castle Oblivion's real fucked up. It's because she took her training ground, which was partially destroyed by darkness and Birth by Sleep, thanks Master Xehanort. Mm-hmm. But she uses her Keyblade Master powers to turn it into an invincible fortress to hide Ven's body, and that's why it's so weird there. Because it's literally a castle to defend Ven.
Yeah, and so, like, that's one of those, those gaps in knowledge, had just enough knowledge, I can put these things together without having the whole thing explained to me. Like, those kind of things I'm okay with. Because, like, when I put it together, I feel like that sense of accomplishment. It's like, oh, that's how it worked. I had just enough information to put it together. Not too much and not too little. And I said, like, you're talking about pacing. I think that's, like, one of those things about Kingdom Hearts that, it's like, sometimes they give you too little information, sometimes they give you too much. And that's why.
Well, and also, like I said, I think that was me also talking about the can't decide thing. I think that means for different people, it gives you too much or too little information at different times.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, it was so good.
But yeah, no, that's a super rad idea. And so yeah, well, I understand that the whole point of the game is to assemble the team and assemble more people.
Yeah,
and
like like I'm gonna give you like. Oh god.
Basically, here. I'll give you a warning. Don't give me any heartbreakers things on Rochester Shion, because I want to see that play out for myself, because I am very invested in that. Thanks 2 and 358 days.
I'm sorry. You're gonna be disappointed with how Roxas shows up.
Shit.
I'm telling you right now. Just prepare your hearts. Xian's arrival is a little bit more heartfelt, but at the same time feels cheap.
Well,
but after they assemble,
on the other hand, I mean, that's the other thing about Xian is like, Xian's another weird thing because she not even more so than Roxas and the other nobodies. She's not a person. She's a fake person made by Vexen, who was given weird ass memories to do weird ass memory things. Because remember, memory is a thing in this setting, much like dreams and hearts and light and darkness and all that other stuff. Which works on its own rules. So it's like, what the flip does any of this mean? So like, I feel like recreating her or bringing her back to life would be a weird and convoluted thing anyway, because that's how she got here.
Yeah.
Like, why does everybody forget her when Roxas absorbs her? Why? Why does that happen? I don't know. I guess it's I don't understand. It's a weird thing.
I don't.
Yeah, no, Axe has the correct thing. The answer is because continuity, because we hadn't written in or developed her character before Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. So we had to, in 385, we literally had to explain some things, even though we wanted to tell these stories with these characters. Which, like, we had to explain that Roxas didn't always have 2 Keyblades, even though that was kind of his thing in 2. His really rad thing.
Oh my god. I'm still, I want to, I have beat the game, so I do want to go, I do want to, double down on talking about it, but I'm just like, I gotta hold back.
No, we'll have a whole episode, and we'll actually structure our thoughts.
Yeah, but, after, because, everyone arrives, everyone, hooks back up. Right. The trios...
You have to assemble the 7 lights, because that's how this works. Yeah.
And it's good, the emotional feelings you get when, Ventus, Terra, and Aqua meet, it's strong. When Axel, Roxas, and Xian, it's fucking strong. Just getting to that point seems a little cheap in some areas. Also, there's some convoluted shit happening with, time and travel and space.
Yeah, of course there is. I mean, the way you're describing it, it basically sounds to me like the problem is that Kingdom Hearts 3 is a setup game when it really didn't need to be, which means that in order to set up the setup, they had to do other stuff, because it really feels like other stuff should have been the setup to assembling the 7 Warriors of Light, and then we should have a final fucking confrontation. But it sounds to me like what you're saying is that the end result is that this confrontation isn't actually final, because there's more confrontation to happen, which we needed all those characters for, which is kind of annoying.
Well, I will say whatever's done, the Xehanort confrontation is done.
Sure.
That is done.
That's okay. I mean, I kind of... The game... I mean, I can say that. I'm going to make a guess, which is basically, and I'll say this as an educated guess, don't necessarily have to confirm or deny or anything like that, if that'll give it away to the audience, but having watched back cover, Key back cover, the fact that the Master of Masters, who is a shady fucking guy, the fact that he literally fucks off and disappears after seeing through time and creating the Book of Prophecy, I'm like, that's a huge red flag right there, as far as plot goes, that this sinister, sneaky guy literally disappears from the continuity. Where the fuck did he go? So, the fact that, as far as I know, that's still an open end after Key and going into 3, I'm like, I feel like 3 is not going to resolve that part directly. And so, if it does or does not, Lucky, do not necessarily comment for the sake of the audience and myself, but...
Yeah. Well,
having gone through this whole experience with this franchise, now I feel like I was kind of naive to expect 3 to end it all, because having done the experience, the whole retroactive, the whole story so far, boy howdy, there's a lot of plot threads hanging around, and it feels kind of like 3 wouldn't, even though there is build up to 3, it still feels like 3 wouldn't hit everything, because there's a lot of fucking stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
So much stuff.
There's so much stuff.
But is it good stuff? Yeah. Is it bad stuff? Is it just really cheesy stuff?
It's a lot of stuff. There's good things, bad things, cheesy things, emotional things.
Well, and honestly, that's another interesting... I mean, we talked about, like I said, Kingdom Hearts has a very archetypal approach. It's very simplistic in its storytelling. It deals with concepts that it doesn't want to explain, because that would take the mysticism out of them, right? If there was an actual science to how light and darkness worked and what they did and did not do, it would kind of kill some of the magic, which fundamentally, this thing being shepherded by Disney, there's got to be a little bit of magic left in it, because otherwise it would be off-brand, basically. It would not be on theme. However, this means that because you're taking this kind of archetypal, widespread approach, some things hit deep and some things hit shallow. So the question is, if you kind of overlap all the things that hit and miss, what's your overall experience? And to me, so far, my overall experience is still positive, even though... And honestly, some people I know have the attitude of like, oh, my childhood's ruined. No.
I want to say my childhood is ruined.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, this might say bad things about 3 or bad things about future development, but like I said, I don't know if I can ever hate 3 after just, like I said, the first couple hours and just having this experience hit me in full after going through some of these previous games and being like, oh my god, this is what this game is now. But, like, at no point is anything that, at no point did Birth by Sleep or 3D or anything make me feel worse about Kingdom Hearts 1 or Kingdom Hearts 2 especially. Like, for a long time, 2 was my pinnacle. I mean, does playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and then playing, like, Birth by Sleep and 3D and all that make me go, these games could have had tighter gameplay and design and stuff? Yeah, sure, but they were on smaller systems for, technically a smaller audience, I guess, so I can kind of see why things don't match up 1-to-1, but they didn't, like, ruin my 2 experience for me. That game was still fucking phenomenal, and it still holds up after all these years, even though also it does kind of not resolve anything. Now, especially if you think about it in the greater continuity, like, okay, so yes, technically, you stopped Xemnas' plan to recreate a Kingdom Hearts for some reason. We're still not clear on why that matters, but it's a big deal. It's the heart of all worlds, so obviously it's important. They don't need to explain why. And honestly, quite frankly, I think the villains explain too much to Sora because he's an idiot. They monologue too much. Which, I mean, as an audience member, on a meta level, I appreciate it, but at the same time, I know that Sora's dumb, and he's not actually going to understand your plans, but don't explain anything to him. It really doesn't help you. But anyway, so, you beat him up, you stop him from building Kingdom Hearts, all the organization is gone, which sucks because some of those people were cool, but whatever. And you're finally reunited. Roxas and Naminé are technically reunited because they're still inside Sora and Kairi. Sora and Kairi can hang out, Riku's there, Riku's a normal boy again, he's a tall boy. Everybody can go back to the Destiny Islands. But King Mickey has a final letter, which is like, hey, there's more work to do. And then it ends. Like, honestly, that's why I wanted Kingdom Hearts 3 to be more of a payoff. It's because back in the day, 2 was kind of a blue baller. Between the actual ending and the secret movie. It was like, oh, there's more to come. And there was.
Man, the drivers in San Francisco have really good brakes.
Do they always make sure not to hit you?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just fucking about right now. I like saying, like, post like game, basically you're given the option to save your clear data, and you basically go back to right before the final battle.
Of course.
And so you can literally just go about and think about which I have been doing. I've been discovering the Flans, which are like the most fucking adorable Heartless. See, that's one of those things I realized about Heartless. They're that creepy, scary cute.
Yeah, I think they have a word for that, but creepy cute things exist. And they always have been. Like, have you seen a Shadow? They're fucking adorable.
They're adorable. It's like, I would like have like give me a fucking give me plushes. Give me
some plushes, some cool, some sick ass designs, some little toys. Heartless make great toys. That's why they fitted perfectly in Toy Story World. They totally look like it.
Yeah, but like. I've been discovering the Flans, which are like these Heartless that literally just looks like giant Flans with like fruit-shaped crowns. I'm like, oh my god, this is adorable. And you do mini games.
So they're like the Mushroom 13, which were the adorable minigame mushrooms in 2 Final Mix.
Yeah, and so it's like I'm just having a fun time because I go around, explore, I see one, I'm like, oh my god, it's time for a minigame. Yeah, because I'm literally just gliding around San Francisco right now, just enjoying life, finding treasures, looking for lucky emblems. And finding battle stars, because I was actually looking for that, too. There's a lot to do, like, post-game, which I think is important.
Yeah, and that's the thing that Kingdom Hearts has been slowly growing to. Like, there was a little bit of technical high-level content in 1, because you had to do the Gold and Platinum matches and stuff, and then they added some secret bosses in Final Mix. 2 is much more like that, with, like, the Paradox Cups, which you don't have to do at all, and the Mushroom 13 and stuff. And the data battles, which are super fucking hard.
Yeah.
They exist only for you to torment yourself, because remember, Kingdom Hearts is the true Dark Souls.
Yeah, the final boss, oh god, I was actually gonna mention this and I didn't. But, one of the problems I have, like, with the final boss is that, there's a lot of air comboing going on, of where you have to go air and, maintain those, stuff to, maintain a steady damage output. Fucking Donald and Goofy can't fucking fly.
No, they can't. Not anymore. They used to be able to. Because
So
once upon a time, Glide was a shared ability that you gave to everybody.
Yeah. So basically, when you're fighting the final boss and you're up like 6 fucking stories, like trying to maintain combos so that you can keep the boss fucking from breaking down your shit, it's just you up there, and Donald and Goofy are on the ground just chilling. I assume. And that kind of
They're like,
I felt like again.
Did he forget we can't fly?
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know. I didn't bother,
just
by the
like,
way, trying to do a Donald Duck
okay.
impression because I can't. My voice is already going from yelling about Kingdom Hearts so much. If I tried to do
Okay.
Donald Duck, I would explode.
Yeah, like especially like Matches Misses, like you can use the shot lock air step to like.
Yeah,
instantly
I
close
forgot about
distance.
that. We only talk about subsystems. Honestly, it's weird. Kingdom Hearts 3 is very busy with its systems, but most of them don't feel obtrusive.
Oh yeah, no.
Like, even if Shotlock is fun, and it was super broken in. I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 did nerf a lot of stuff, because, like, flow motion's not, like I said, not as super bouncy as it was in Dream Drop. Shotlocks are okay, but they're a little more downplayed, I feel like, so far. And there's no, like, at least I haven't run into any special Shotlock customization other than maybe that's in Keyblades. Because that was a thing in Birth by Sleep, is that you would collect different elemental Shotlocks with different types of stuff.
Yeah, no, like what Keyblade you have will determine what shot.
Yeah, that's another thing that I love, by the way, is that not the Keyblades don't just have one ability tagged into them; they have like a whole special move list in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been using is it Counter Hero, the Olympus one that turns into a shield and completely changes your combo string. I do kind of wish the finisher wasn't so obtrusive once again. Like turning into a giant Pegasus
like right
chariot
now,
and throwing lightning bolts is cool the first time, but it's once again you're disrupting my rhythm a little bit on like the 15th time.
Like you see, here's the thing. Like I only use air quote this original Keyblades, ones that aren't tied to Disney World. So I just use the Kingdom Key, the fucking shooting star, and you get a third one later. I won't ruin that because that's kind of part of the story. But
Actually, here's a good question: do you end up with Oblivion and Oathkeeper again?
Nope.
Damn it! You sons of bitches!
See, that's another one. Of
You've
those things,
ruined
like,
it. Ruined it.
I guess I'll spoil this for you.
0 out of 10. Throw it in the trash.
When Roxas shows up, he has them.
Oh, well, actually, that makes more sense, because those are kind of they turn those into his iconic Keyblades. That's still very sad that before that, I mean, the dude's the dude's a freeloader. He's riding in quote unquote my body as Sora. You know, he could cough with a Keyblade or two before then. Also, by the way, that reminds me of the no drives thing. That totally disappoints me, because I didn't even think about it but in Olympus, you start in your fucking magic clothes. That's where the drives come from, is from the clothes. Why?
Yeah.
Why, game? Not even as like a form change thing. Why? You even let me equip multiple Keyblades. Why you do this? Because when they make Kingdom Hearts 3 Final Mix +++ limited extra special edition, and they add the season pass, which gives you new characters, that's going to be Roxas' special thing, is the double Keyblade. You can't change Keyblades, but you've got 2.
They could probably do that.
Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't announced Kingdom Hearts 3 Final Mix. Hopefully the DLC era has fixed that problem, and they'll just eventually release like a post-game patch that you can buy for like $20 or whatever that'll give you the quote-unquote Final Mix version. Please, for the love of God, don't make me buy the game again.
Just gonna be like a DLC Final Mix.
Yeah, basically, Final Mix DLC. Season pass. Get all your stuff in there.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. But like as I said, like the thing with Roxas is technically Roxas is Sora, because he's
well, yeah, and actually, honestly, I think they do a good job of clarifying their relationship early on in this game, where Sora's like, yeah, I think I got another heart hanging out inside me. I think it's Roxas, showing that Sora actually understands things sometimes. Yeah. And like, and Xeminus and Anderson kind of comment on it, where they're like, yeah, so Roxas turned out to have too much personality for us to use as a vessel, which basically this is another huge plot point in 3D, which is when this is the one thing I think that Sora has that matters, but still it's in a cutscene, so, didn't have to be playable. But he explicitly calls out Xemnas, which is like, wait a second, you know, I felt what Roxas felt through my dreams, and I know that he cried. If you don't have a heart, you can't cry. Why, Xemnas, did you lie to the organization and say that nobody's never? When you said that nobody's don't have hearts, you implied to them that they can't have hearts. And Xemnas is like, hoo, foolish. The heart is the most flexible thing about them. You can, the body instinctively desires a heart. You'll just grow a new fucking heart. So, yeah, Xemnas drops the bomb that nobodies eventually grow hearts of their own, which most people probably could have figured just from the way some of the nobodies behave. But, like, for Sora, it's a big dramatic reveal. So basically, Roxas was his own separate person. While he was Sora's body, he developed his own heart from his own experiences, which was weird. And so it means that unlike, say, Axel, who whatever his Heartless was doing didn't matter, I guess, because he didn't, but he retained all his experiences from his previous life as Axel. So even you run into that in Kingdom Hearts 3, where like Kyrie's calling him Lee, and after he has his freaky Shion flashback, he's like, no, call me Axel. I've decided I'm Axel again, even though I'm a whole person now. I've decided I'm Axel. So he's like, he keeps his continuity of memories, and he stays technically the same person, but because
he could have put on the fucking outfit though.
Sora is weird.
Spoilers, the outfit. The what?
I was just saying that like, because Sora is weird, that like Roxas and Sora have a weird relationship where it does make sense that Roxas basically grows his own individuality, and they're not
you see, because I find
technically the same person anymore.
Because here's the thing, Sora is fucking ripe with fucking hearts.
Like, oh yeah, no, he's slam full. We already knew that.
Yeah,
Sora doesn't figure that out until 10 minutes into this game, but we riding shotgun on this franchise already figured that out a long time ago.
Like, he got his own heart, he got Ven's heart, he got Roxas's heart, and he got Xion's heart. He is a 4-heart boy.
Yeah, because so first of all, for some I feel like the implication in Birth by Sleep is that Ven either was from Destiny Islands, or while he was there and Master Xehanort was doing creepy experiments to him. I feel like it feels almost like, did Sora share some of his heart with Ven or something?
Yeah, it was, because
okay,
I remember
that's the impression I got from Birth by Sleep.
Because basically what happened was Xehanort took the hearts and like split it into pure light and pure darkness.
Yeah, so unless you're a Princess of Heart, because they have special hearts, every heart normally has a little bit of darkness and a little bit of light. Even Sora has a little bit of darkness in him. That's why he turns into a pathetic, tiny shadow Heartless, as opposed to like something scarier.
I don't know. I'm utterly convinced that Rage form is his Heartless form. Because,
I mean, that makes more sense, because that was hey, if you remember when the anti-Sora first showed up, that's when Riku first got his dark powers, and he was able to make Sora's darkness manifest as a spooky negative Sora. So there's that. Also, in Recoded, Sora's Heartless appears as a giant dark side who's eating Data. So there's that too.
Yeah. I will say this in the final boss. One of the segments is Xehanort forces you into anti-Sora, like just automatically, and you have to fight to get back to the light. That makes sense.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of that feels like it's rehashing some ideas, but that still sounds like a cool set piece.
Yeah,
but yeah,
again,
so
like, they never actually talk about Sora's like darkness, like ever.
No, it's because Sora really does have a lot of light. The darkness in his heart is very small, so you can't really. I mean, the fact that they want to flood his heart with darkness is a big deal to the villains. Yeah, that they're trying to basically break him emotionally and make him give into darkness, which is very hard for them. Unlike with some other people, like Riku had that whole experience with it. Terra obviously had that problem, which made him vulnerable to Master Xehanort. But so normally there's a little bit of light. There's mostly light and a little bit of darkness. So if you don't know, Master Xehanort's experiment was he was trying to create the Keyblade artificially by making a being of pure light and of pure darkness who would clash. So he took his apprentice Ventus, and he did some freaky shit where he cracked off all the darkness in his heart and turned into Vanitas. And then he took the comatose Ven to Master Ericus, where he turned into a real boy. But in the opening of Birth by Sleep, there's a sequence where, on the Destiny Islands, because apparently that's where Master Xehanort is from, because it all comes back there. That's also probably why he's so tan, because he's an island boy. But there's an unconscious Ven who's sitting there, and he does the dive to heart thing, and then there's the mysterious voice, and it says, oh, your heart's pretty beat up. Here, let me lend you some of your light, and it just kind of zoops back in. And that's how Ven is a functional human through the whole story. But he has an artificially all light heart. Vanitas has all his darkness. They fight. There's the final boss fight between Ven and Vanitas in his story is fucking great, and that's a super cool sequence where he shatters the heart-stained glass, and you have this trippy fight in there where Ven starts to steal some of Vanitas's like dark powers and do some of his combos back to him. It's really cool. But
yeah, like after that, when Ven loses his heart, it doesn't get lost to darkness. Instead, it just goes back to Sora.
Yeah, his heart goes his heart goes to sleep, and it wanders off from his body.
Yeah.
And it goes back to Sora, which is one of the reasons why Sora can get a Keyblade, because Aqua explicitly did not give him the power. She thinks about it, but because Riku already has it, she's like, no, that'll really fuck up their friendship if I make them both Keyblade Masters. Whoops, too late. Nice try, but no, girl. So there's that. And then...
See, like, again, there's a lot of effort put into this fucking story.
So, and then this is an actual thing. And then so through Kingdom Hearts 1... Kairi gets to ride Heart Shotgun with him because of that weird thing that happens, because Kairi's a princess of heart, her heart can't fall into darkness, literally. So it becomes free when the Destiny Islands is consumed by darkness, it becomes free floating, and they do that weird phantom hug, and Kairi's heart hangs out in Sora's the whole adventure, which I feel like they should have done more with, but then we immediately forked into the amnesia angle, so whatever. But that stays that way until the end of towards the end of Kingdom Hearts, where we've talked about how badass that scene is, where Sora uses Riku's Dark Keyblade, which is forged out of the other 6 hearts, to stab himself and unlock his heart, which turns him into a Heartless, gives him a nobody. It also frees Kairi's heart, so it technically gives Kairi a nobody in the form of Naminé, but because Naminé isn't her body, Naminé gets weird powers. It's weird. Also, theoretically, there maybe should have something that happened with Ven, but I don't know. Maybe that's why Roxas looks exactly like Ven. Question marks. This is, at least as far as I know, this is a detail that's not explicitly spelled out, but you can get ideas.
Yeah, no, when Ven first sees Sora, he instantly, like, thinks that he looks like Vanitas.
Because he does.
Immediately, yeah.
Which is, like I said before, I remarked about how, I'm pretty sure, I didn't double check the credits, but I'm pretty sure that's Haley Joel Osment who plays Vanitas in Birth by Sleep, and he's fucking killing it as a voice actor. Like, because he does an evil voice, which works for him. It's great.
Oh yeah, it does.
And like, you totally don't tell until he takes the mask off, and you're like, holy shit. Like, I'll say this, gameplay-wise, Birth by Sleep kind of sucked for me, because it was a lot of empty space and a lot of grinding and a lot of repetition. Story-wise, it was phenomenal. The writing was on par. So that's how that happens.
Yeah.
Now, while they're separate,
like, now that I've beaten it, maybe it's just because I'm so used to basically, listening to things in Japanese. But once I got used to the English voices, they sounded a lot better. But there's still like some of them that are kind of hit and miss to me.
No, and actually I think Zero Ranma commented that on that episode. That's honestly always how the series has been. The voice acting has been hit and miss. Sometimes they get, like we said, like Disney professionals in. They do a great job. Sometimes they don't. Like, I'm pretty sure Kairi's not Hayden Panettiere anymore. I'd have to double check.
Here's something weird.
Because if she is, she changed the way she does Kairi's voice in 3, so I'm pretty sure it's not the same voice actress anymore. And
so here's something really weird I noticed. So I was checking out the credits, like, post-game, because I'm like, oh yeah, who, like, did all the voices? They list all the voice actors for the original characters. They don't list any of the voice actors, like, for who did what role for the Disney characters.
I think that might be a union thing.
Yeah, because basically what happens is, they do, like,
They basically say, to the credits to the Disney staff who did blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Because, hey, I'm playing the Toy Story world. If Tom Hanks isn't Woody, it's somebody doing a great Tom Hanks impression. So,
oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, like, because basically they list all the Disney, they list the Disney characters by, like, the franchise. And
yeah,
stuff.
I think they did that. I remember that happened in Dream Drop, where it's like featuring the Disney voice talents of people from these movies and these characters.
Yeah.
It's like,
actually
that's
lists,
so
like,
weird.
Yeah, that's something that like I noticed. I thought was weird.
I'm pretty. That's got to be a union thing. That's got to be because they're in the they're like actual screen actors. They can't be credited normally, otherwise they'd have to be like wildly higher paid and stuff. So,
well, because they are voicing established characters.
Mm-hmm.
So
like there's probably a complex like union and contract thing, which gets weird. Which Disney, I'm sure, does enough business. They're like, whatever, we'll pay you your fair share to show up in this game, but at the same time, we can't fuck around with union stuff because that's going to be a huge pain in the ass because you're in this game for whatever. Voice acting in games is weird. Most of the Disney actors do okay. Sometimes you have to get actor impersonators, like we talked about before. Like Captain Jack's voice in 2 sucks ass. Like that guy is trying his damnedest, but he doesn't have that range in him. But that's okay because Johnny Depp did a very particular character for that game. So that those movies, I mean. So
yeah.
Hey, whatever. If you can't do that, that's okay. It's just boy howdy. And I mentioned that in the recoded cutscenes, whoever voiced Alice in that is just not even trying. She's just doing a little British girl voice. As opposed to the first Kingdom Hearts where they actually got Alice's honest-to-God voice actress back in the studio to do that voice. And she's really good at it still. Also, same with Ariel. Ariel is actually Ariel's voice actress from that movie, reprising her role and doing pretty good at it. By the way, I think we said this before, but shout out to professional Disney voice actors who come back to voice for this, tiny children's video game. I know that some people in the movie film industry are weird about that, but I'm sure the Disney clout helped them get over it. And most of the actual professional actors and actresses who appear are not half-assing it. They're killing it. They're doing good work. But yeah, I noticed that when Kyrie was delivering her lines, I'm like, you don't sound like you anymore, Kyrie. It's a little weird. Though Haley Joel Osment's voice as Sora has evolved a lot over time, and he's really good at it. Like I said this about Dream Drop. He got really good at doing Sora at a younger voice than he physically is, which it's cool.
That's why I give him a little bit of leniency, but like at some points I like the way he says like a certain line, I just kind of cringe.
I feel like that's probably direction. Like people are probably because in the original run of 2 and in Rechain of Memories, like I've said before, like Rechain of Memories is very jarring because that's very clearly his Kingdom Hearts 2 post-puberty voice. So I feel like maybe that didn't attract some flack from some criticism from the audience. So I feel like they may have directed him to do a different pitch. Because like we said, the dude has chops. I totally didn't even realize he was doing Vanitas until Vanitas showed up, and his Vanitas performance is amazing. I just feel like maybe the direction of Sora is kind of like pushing it a little bit. Like they should just let Sora be more mature. Yeah. And speak like a normal person.
He seems like sometimes his voice sounds like he's hamming it up a little more than he should be at the moment. I don't know.
And hey, maybe that could be because once again, lip flaps are a thing. I don't know how they get to edit from the Japanese audio. Like presumably they don't get to re-render the fucking cutscenes to match English voice flaps. So some of that is just like the problem with anime. You've got to play up your vocals. Yeah. Speaking of vocals, I'm getting really scratchy, but I have more to talk about. Actually, we were in the middle of explaining how many hearts Sora has in him.
Oh, yeah.
So we last left off where he split into his Heartless and his Nobody, but his Heartless gets his body back somehow, and he continues to fuck around for a game and a half. Meanwhile, Roxas, not only does Roxas grow his own heart on his own, because he just does that, because he's such a nice guy. Then also at the end of 358, he omnomnoms Shion, who I guess also had a heart, so now he has 2 hearts, which is why he has 2 Keyblades. And then at the end of the prologue for 2, Roxas and Sora team back up, and I guess Sora gets his physical body back and all the memories that were in Roxas absorbed so he can be himself again. But now he's riding shotgun with 4 hearts. And that is a major plot point that the games don't let go of from that point on. Like, that's ultimately what Coded is all about. That's kind of what Dream Drop is all about, leading into Kingdom Hearts 3, where Master Yensid is like, Sora, you're the key to getting all these fucking Keyblade guys back, and we need to get them out. I don't think anybody realizes, other than maybe, like I said, Sora realizes that Roxas is inside. I don't think anybody realizes that Sora's carrying these around like a fucking capsule machine, and they just need to, like, pick him up by his ankles and shake him until all the hearts fall out.
someone realizes this, but it's not until later that Sora realizes how many hearts he has in him, and two of them he doesn't even fucking know. He's like, who?
Yeah, because he clearly doesn't remember the Destiny Island stuff from Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, no.
Which is interesting
And
because the
Xenon,
fact that
he would have
Riku
no
remembers it is actually a major part of his character. But Sora has no fucking memory. But Sora doesn't remember fucking anything anyway. The poor kid.
Yeah, and like here's the thing that bugged me about everyone getting back together. At no point does Sora do anything to get Xion and Roxas out of his hearts, and yet they still show up. So I'm like, what?
Yeah, that is a little bullshitty, especially considering that's part of our villain's plan, clearly, is they're like, Sora, you have to do shenanigans to save Roxas.
Like, they do something to start the process of getting Roxas's heart out, but at no point does Sora take part of that plan. So even though he has his heart, all of a sudden Roxas has appeared. I'm like, okay?
I mean, once again, this is another thing where it's like, is this just because we haven't played this franchise in a while? Because, gotta be honest, that's about as bullshit as the actual first Kingdom Hearts, where you play as a shadow for like 5 seconds. Then, like I said, Kairi gives you a hug and suddenly you're whole again. Never mind that makes no metaphysical sense, either then or now. So, sometimes you have to just roll with this because that's just how this franchise has always been written.
I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just more jaded and...
Possible. Also, like you said, you didn't actually go out of your way to play the whole thing, which, for better or worse, has kind of
it has affected my judgment.
Well, for you, but also for me, I've kind of been inoculated to the weirdness of Kingdom Hearts because I've been dealing with it constantly for, weeks now. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. I don't know. I've played all these games. It's like, whatever. Dreams, memories. Shion's not real, but she's also real because literally hearts, anything can have a heart if it has a personality. Whatever. Magic. Whatever. Puppets have hearts, toys have hearts. Who the fuck cares? Do I get to have my childhood tickled? Yes.
Yes.
You got a friend in me. Okay, I'm here. That's all I needed. You got me. You got me, game. I'm right there.
Honestly, I say this, like, Toy Story, once I got to Toy Story, it was definitely an upswing in, like, the whole game.
Hopefully I will enjoy it after I finish editing our 3-hour recording.
See, this is what you just gotta do like me. I'm literally in San Francisco, fighting Heartless on top of roofs.
Yep. Well, so very briefly, I suppose I'll touch on one other thing, because I feel like we could continue talking about both Kingdom Hearts 3 as a singular entity, and talking about the Kingdom Hearts franchise as a whole, because holy shit. Like we said, there's a lot to unpack there.
I said, I gotta hold some shit back for the in-depth.
Yeah. We'll do a deep dive at some point, so we'll stop talking about it. I'll skip some of the stuff I wanted to mention, but I will say I've had a very interesting experience also over the past couple weeks, but especially last week. So I ended up watching and finishing all of Markiplier's Subnautica run from like his very early access days to the final product, and then into now he's doing Below Zero. And now I'm developing a very weird relationship with Subnautica, because we've talked about this before, that it, on the one hand, fucking hate the ocean. Goddamn. Like I said before, I like swimming. I don't mind going to the beach. The ocean also freaks my shit out. Like, I have weird gut checks thinking about things, and I have, I watch these videos for forever, and suddenly I get, phantom experiences, like, is a Reaper Leviathan gonna jump out of the shadows as I go to the bathroom well above water? Like, it's that kind of stuff, right? So I have this love-hate relationship, so the game seems really cool, and I kind of want to play it for myself. To me, I'm kind of thinking, the question is, I could get it on PS4. It's not too expensive, though. I've heard kind of good and bad things about the port, so I'm not sure. But, I could just pick it up on that. But also, I know you've played a lot of it, so I wondered if, similar to what we said about doing with Uncharted, is after we consolidate, if we should do a series like that, where you're basically my Subnautica Sherpa while I play the game, and I don't know if, because the problem is that I'm not completely blind now. I know a lot of the plot points and stuff because I've seen it played, so I don't know if we want to save that for another thing and I should just play Subnautica in my free time sometime. I'm going to wait until I have less games I need to play, obviously. I mentioned this on our Discord, but hey, PS Plus this month is For Honor for free and the complete first Hitman for free, the new one. So after I get done with Kingdom Hearts, I'm going to want to try those out, at least to try them. And lots of stuff. So
I don't know if I'm not going to try For Honor. I'm not that sold on it. But
I'm going to try. I downloaded or put it in my library. I haven't downloaded it yet, just because I want to try it to see if my thoughts on just holding back on it were worth it or not. Like, is it going to be fun or not? And if it's not, I don't feel bad. It was free.
Oh yeah,
the beauty of PS Plus. So yeah, that's my thoughts about Subnautica, and I'll leave the audience to think about that. And honestly, you to think about that if whether or not you would want to play my Subnautica Sherpa.
Like, I don't mind it, because, like, honestly, like, once you get into a certain flow, it's just gonna be us chatting about stuff, because, as I said, like, Subnautica, while it has a lot to it, it's still a very basic game. It's, you go out, you find X item to turn into X thing, so you can get deeper, so you can reach X item to turn into X thing, so you can go deeper.
Until eventually you reverse going deeper, and you have to go really, really high.
Yeah. Because, like, when I said, because I've had Subnautica for years. I got it back when it was, like, really early access.
Yeah, actually Subnautica is a really interesting success story, kind of similar to Minecraft, of like going from early access to complete, and it's actually, honest to God, a complete game that seems really cool and thought out. And
yeah, it actually reached patch 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that was last year, yeah, and now they're coming out with their sequel, or their expansion pack or whatever. But having seen those, even though it is still early access, hey, guess what? It's built on the Subnautica engine. It's also really way more polished than the original Subnautica was at this stage, because they learned.
Oh, I found the plan. Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's a really cool game series that, like I said, I don't know whether or not I want to just, because it's like
it won't.
It's like $30 on PSN. If I don't know if I just want to download it and play it in my free time and see what's up, just as a casual experience, or what?
Like, honestly, if we can consolidate, because I said I own it.
Yeah.
We can just put it on. You can just play the PC version of it,
which I'm sure will run okay. That's my one concern always about ports, is double checking, will this run fine? And I have heard mixed responses about whether or not it actually runs okay. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend $30 on this. Maybe I'll wait to see if there's a PS sale. But yeah, so I could definitely leave that to like a consolidation thing.
I'll say,
excuse me.
But it's it is a game that keeps your respect for the deep ocean healthy. It's not gonna, abandon your fear. It's not gonna make you utterly terrified, because, you have meters and everything. You have this much oxygen left, and you get, like, the sense of when you need to go up and down. You get things that let you stay longer. At some point, you can just get submersibles where you have, like unlimited oxygen, and you can just putz around, like, the shallows. Because, like, the Leviathans and stuff, they don't just, like, roam around willy-nilly. Like,
actually, that's a really great thing I do like about the game, and that's honestly why it's had a lot of influence on 4 Explorer, which I was going to talk about, but I won't, because I don't think anybody, you and me, cares about me rambling about space anyway, and also I can't ramble about space right now, because I rambled about Kingdom Hearts too long. I don't have a rant about space in me.
Space!
Just know that I am continuing to work on that game, and Subnautica has been a huge influence in how it handles biomes and survival and stuff. And, like, I'm not going to be as nitpicky as it is in some aspects. Like, one thing that I explicitly said for my 4X game design is that I don't want any kind of, like, research tiering. Like, one of the big things about Subnautica is you have to go to different biomes to find different blueprints to build different things, which means at some point you have to go, to progress in the game, you have to go into dangerous areas to get new stuff. The way 4 Explorer is designed is, like, you have access to basically all your libraries. The question is, can you amass enough technical ability and resources to build some of this shit? And why are you building these things, kind of, right? Because it's a RPG design and like a tabletop, so obviously it's got to be, in terms of game design, more open-ended, because either the dice or the players or the game master will shape whatever the actual narrative is. But yeah, Subnautica is interesting because of how it has that biome design, and it actually kind of sticks to these biome rules. And hey, different biota, different flora and fauna live in different areas and have different behaviors. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And they really stick to that. And some biomes are terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Like the.
Because
actually, an interesting thing about watching Subnautica is after I watched all of Markiplier do it, because I know Jacksepticeye was a really big deal. I don't usually watch his videos or follow him, and I haven't subbed him or anything. But I looked up his Subnautica playthrough. That's a really great ride, because he, like Markiplier, has a great ability to just disengage his mouth from his brain and talk and jabber about the game, and he reacts great because he's got that that Irishy accent when he's talking about bleeding Jesus and stuff when Leviathans eat him. It's really entertaining, even if you don't normally follow his videos. His style of work, much like Markiplier's, works really well for Subnautica because it's like casual, low down. We're just gonna get some materials. We're gonna do some stuff. Is that a warper? Is that a reader? Holy shit, Mary, mother of Joseph! I'm getting my face eaten. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my submarine. Get out of here! And then you spend like 10 minutes, like Mark just ranting about how he hates the ocean. It's those types of videos are funny, but like both him and Markiplier, watching them do the Crater's Edge for the first time. Whew. Also, especially considering that's part of my primal fear of the ocean, because that's basically it's the equivalent of a continental shelf drop, which is just, oh hey, the sea levels, the seafloor level's going to go from about a couple hundred meters to, I think the actual charted distance is like 8 kilometers, and it's like a sheer drop into the void with the not necessarily the scariest, but certainly the weirdest and freakiest looking creatures in the game spawn in to just chase you down. Because it's it's adult ghost leviathans, so they're huge and they're like translucent and freaky. They have this really weird humanoid scream, and up to 3 of them will spawn to chase you out because this is how the game developers very creatively hid the world border. In that, the game actually takes place in a volcanic crater under the ocean, which is raised up from the actual seabed, the actual abyssal plain. Hey, guess what? I've been looking up a lot of terrain and biome terminology lately.
Yeah, you crash landed in the luckiest part because this is probably literally like the only habitable area in the fucking planet. Maybe.
Well, I mean, not maybe because Sub-Zero takes place on the same planet in the Arctic region, but that kind of makes sense, right? That's in a different like area where there's like ice flows can build up and change the geography and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, when you hit the crater's edge, your PD is like entering ecological dead zone. And you open it up and it's like, the only kind of life that can live here is microscopic and Leviathan class. And you're like, I need to get the fuck out of this place. And the game is also like, yeah, you need to get the fuck out of this place. But watching like those reactions, that's like my deep primal fears of the ocean is just that plummet into the abyss. I think that's like called like a thalassophobia. Just like that deep-seated fear of the deep ocean.
I don't even like the shallow ocean. Ooh.
Like I said before, a beach is cool. Beaches are alright. Got some sand, got some water. If the surf's not too rough, it can be a little sunny. It can be a little fun to swim. But you know what? You don't have to worry about sand and sun and salt a lot of the time. Just get in a fucking pool, which also works.
Like I'm gonna be real, 110 times. I like going to like rivers and lakes. And who the fuck is? Oh, it's fucking him. Okay. Sorry, I'm still playing Kingdom Hearts 3. Mm-hmm. I just ran into Fred and I saw him from a distance. I'm like, who the fuck is that jumping?
It's good old Fred.
It's my buddy Fred.
Lakes and rivers. I mean, see, right now I feel the motivation to talk more about 4X because I've been doing biome design, so it's like all full of like, okay, so here's some characteristics of what a lake is like, and it's like, how's a lake different from a river?
You want to take like a 15-minute break so you can get some water, rest your voice, and then go back?
No, because I have to eat dinner right after this. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'll power through really quick and just say that game design is continuing. I'm still on biomes. I'm almost done with like an initial list, and then I got some more feature types I got to make up Latin names for because the International Astronomical Union does not cover those types of features. And also they have lots of feature names that I couldn't use. Like, it's very cool. No offense to the IAU's nomenclature. It's really rad that they have a name for spiderweb or net patterned features on Venus or whatever. But from a geological standpoint, that's not helpful to me. That like, and you can find a weird spiderweb shaped thing. What's the details of that? Why is that there? What kind of stuff would live there on a planet that's habitable? Stuff like that. We don't know. We just know that from space it looks like a spiderweb. So, mostly I've restricted myself to terrain forms which have equivalents on Earth so far. Like, talk about chasma, rifts, rift valleys, seas, mountains, mesas, stuff like that. Scarps, cliffs, and so that's kind of been fun to talk about. And I learned this lesson a little bit with Mages of War, so I think with 4X it's kind of been more prominent. Is I'm writing not just for myself now. I'm making sure to include notes so if somebody other than me reads this, or if I read this in like 2 years, I understand what the fuck was going on and what I meant. So, I've noted down like a lot of features can be formed a lot of different ways. Like, you can make a mountain through volcanic activity, through tectonic activity, etc., etc. So, hey, I noted down that mountains can occur in a couple different terrain types because that makes sense to a game master to figure out where do I naturally include a mountain when I'm talking about a planet. But also it means that in the future, I don't have to go fucking look up how mountains are formed. Because I wrote it, at least in a abridged version, which is all that matters to me. So yeah, I'm not going into super detail with any of this writing. It's just short blips that are like, it's a single paragraph, but maybe the equivalent of like 1 to 2 paragraphs, which is like, okay, this feature can appear in these conditions. It's formed this way. Here's maybe some keys for like resources, like floodplains are super important to humans because they regularly overfill with water. They deposit new sediment and they can kill plant life, which can deposit organic material. So those can be very fertile on a habitable planet. But if you're a human, you have to deal with the fact that the river's going to flood and you're going to have a problem. So, like, that's a perfect plot hook for, like, a colony. Like, okay, we could settle on this floodplain, and if we deal with how it floods, that's great. Or,
elevated structures.
Yes. That'll probably be, like, an upgrade or a special thing you can build, just flood protection. Because, like I said, the game's not super fiddly. It's just, like, what qualities does this have? Does it protect you from stuff? Okay, it's a tag. It protects you. You don't need to worry about it. Like, your survival knife is tagged heat-resistant, corrosion-resistant. So it's not perfectly safe from those, but, like, if you accidentally, like, stabbed something with acid blood or, like, dropped your knife into a pool of acid, you could fish it back out and it would be fine. Same if you touch something hot. It will eventually break down, but for now, it's okay. Also, the way I did game design, some of these tools are really helpful. The survival knife is great. The thing everybody is going to want one of is the multi-tool. It gives you +1 labor. So literally, if you own a multi-tool, you still have to carry it, so it has like size requirements and stuff. But literally, if you own a multi-tool, you get more work done every turn, basically, because of how much shit is in it. Also, I looked at multi-tools on like Leatherman.com a lot, and I'm like, I have no use for this, but I really want one of these fucking fancy-ass multi-tools.
It's my ethos of, it's better to need it. And
yeah, I actually have a little pocket multi-tool. It's not very sophisticated, and it's kind of old, so it's a little sticky with some of the different features. But yeah, no, they're like...
I was trying to say, it's better to have it and not need it than need it.
Then you sneezed. Bless you, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, so like another thing is like an active volcano is a health hazard, but a dormant volcano has very fertile soil. So if you want to play that game, you can try that. Or some of those reverse, like plains, like an actual lower plain area. Those are really great for vegetation. You'll see a lot of grasslands of various types there. Very good for grazing, very good for habitation. Because it's lowered, you're not going to have a great time of finding mineral resources because all that stuff is like buried further underground and under all your habitable layers. Meanwhile, a plateau has all that flat ground features, but that's usually caused by like large-scale lava ejections. So hey, there are probably some volcanic minerals in the plateau if you want to start mining. Stuff like that. So that's just kind of the details. It's all supposed to be guided stuff. And after I do some more biome works, I'm going to build what I call the planet matrix, which is going to be like, here's some common biomes on this type of planet, here's some resources you can find there, and this is kind of your rough sketch. Then I have to decide, after I kind of like flesh out materials descriptions, I have to decide, like I'll probably do some example hazards with talking about planet design, like how do you mechanically model like a fire, a flood, a windstorm, etc. Just some brief examples of some common stuff that can happen. And then it's basically like, do I focus on fleshing out all the different activities you can do? Like foraging for food, scavenging some local resources, what I'm going to call group therapy, which is basically just all the colonists hang out and roleplay talking to each other, which is how you get back morale so you don't go space crazy.
Honestly, something that you can do, I would like suggest instead of like you just trying to do this all yourself, is you get like a couple players, like maybe me and Mar. And it's like, all right, in this situation, what would you do? And then you just start taking like notes.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what because the other thing I would focus on is buildable. So basically, the question I'm thinking about is, do I work on developing what people can make or what kind of challenges people have to overcome? And then that's when I make that decision. That's when I farm that out to like you guys is like ask questions like, okay, you're in the situation. What kind of stuff would you want to do? And that'll let me, or would you want to build? And that kind of lets me know. Like there.
Yeah, so like I did look over the document because I did read it over when you said that. I liked something I particularly liked is how every colonist has a hidden agenda, and it doesn't have to be something. It doesn't have to be something that's detrimental. It can be totally benign, but it's still something that everyone has, and you kind of left it like a little floaty.
Yeah, so I even said these are examples. You can make up your own if it makes sense, but like here's some general ideas, because I even said in the sidebar before that I don't fucking know what Earth is like in this setting. There's some caveats you should take as a given, because otherwise the way like items are described in some of the basic setup it won't make much sense. But otherwise, yeah, no. What's Earth like? I don't fucking know. So you guys decide, and you help that influence your hidden agenda. And some hidden agendas are super open-ended, like cool toys. You can literally have joined an extrasolar colony just to build high-tech shit. Yeah. Or some of them are very specific, like There Will Be Blood. You want to murder everybody.
Oh boy.
Also, yes, there's a huge warning, which is like, by the way, hidden agendas are hugely impactful on role-playing and game direction, so I explicitly said you're supposed to check with your game master before settling on one. I know that some people would ignore that, but I wrote it at least in text. Because, like, if somebody picks, like, Viva la Revolution, that's kind of a big deal. You're basically gonna start a military revolution and be like, fuck off, Space Colony Office. Some people are not gonna go with that, especially considering there are possible hidden agendas which are, like, just, I think that's civic duty, which is just, I'm gonna be a normal, law-abiding colonist. Hoop-to-doo. Yeah, no. So, yeah, I'm actually really proud of hidden agendas. That's kind of one of the things that made this click for me, besides random planet generation, is like, okay, so they're gonna go to a planet. Why, though? What do they do there? And I'm like, no, everybody needs a motivation. Why are you here? What reason did you have to come here and do something that is incredibly dangerous, life-threatening, highly technical, and means you're going to be isolated from the rest of humanity for basically forever? Probably. Ever! And that's kind of the motivating factor. And I'm glad you like that system, and I hope other people enjoy reading about it, because that's one of the two things I think that made this click for me, besides just... Then my original idea was, what if you had a survival game like a Minecraft or like a, Subnautica or whatever, but you didn't have to do any tech tree or any research or anything. What if all the blueprints were available to you all the time? What do you do? Because that's that paralyzation of choice. What do you build first? Like, yeah, you can go outside, you can literally pick up a rock off the ground and maybe roll like a skill, and you can make a stone knife. Okay, cool. You have a knife. What do you do with it? What if you want a better knife? What if colonist Bob Joe got a survival knife in his locker and you don't have a survival knife, but survival knives are really cool and you want one? I'm assuming you're not going to stab Bob Joe because he is an important systems operator who makes sure you don't die to steal his knife. So now you got to make your own knife, and it's kind of like...
I like how we're having this whole thing about, I want a fucking knife.
I mean, hey, no, listen, the survival knives are really cool. It gives you, like, +1 survival. You can get upgrades on it. To be, like... And one of the things is I like a lot of narrative features. So, like, everybody starts with a crash suit, which is pretty basic. It's just, like, here's a huge list of environments you don't die in. It gives you enough oxygen so you can go outside and do outside work. It has a little flashlight. And it's, it's very general, but it'll keep you alive in most situations long enough to build something specialized. Like, I've also got a roadmap document, which I don't know if I've shared, but that's just lists of things I know I want to make buildable. So, like, there'll be, like, a diving suit, there'll be, like, a high-altitude suit and stuff like that. There'll be actual, like, military-grade armor. But, it's a very general thing that's like, here's all the stuff you can do with it.
Oh, God, it's snowing again. It's snowing again. Fuck!
So the PDA has a huge description, which is like, hey, the short version is it's basically a tablet computer, only it's made of, like, flexible materials, so it's really good. It's heat and water resistant. It has a camera, it has a radio. It's got a flashlight in it. And also it's got a huge list of apps you can install in it. One of which is, by the way, is going to be a dynamo charger, which is basically you can shake it to charge it up. You can spend, the idea is you'll be able to spend labor. You can spend your energy in a turn to shake it up and down like a fucking shake weight to get more electricity.
That's going to be one of my power converters. I'm going to use... I was like, everyone get on these fucking bikes!
Actually, yeah, probably a manual generator will be a thing. You can just turn labor into power if you want. Yeah.
Honestly, the only problem I feel like is the problem with the system is that, like, you're going to have to actually... Because a lot of this is going to be... The limit is your player's imagination.
There's some of that. I mean... I'll also have to
Like,
flex my imagination. There's going to be some talk, because I'm going to write a GMing section, which is going to be like, how do you build a narrative? There's going to be like true sandbox mode, which is there's no narrative except what emerges from based on people's hidden agendas, which is one of the things why I also include hidden agendas is to give direction to the game, like I said. But the other thing is like, sometimes it'll be like, make a narrative. And I want to write up some sample planets, which will be like fully fleshed out, like brief ideas of what the planet is, what planet type it is, what kind of common biomes, and then some features that are known. Some of them will have life, some of them won't. There's going to be like a desert planet, obviously. I'll probably pick one of the more water-heavy planets to do like an ocean planet model. But I'll also try and include maybe some plot hooks there, which are like, hey, here's some stuff to do if you want to just play this out.
Like, honestly, like, if I was, like, to do, like, story, my immediate story is that due to Earth's overpopulation, that the worldwide consensus was to ship out their entire prison population out on colony ships. So, basically, you've got a bunch of fuck ton of colony ships made by the lowest bidder sent out. Shit goes faulty real quick, and so you crash land, so now you got a crash landing with a bunch of angry prisoners. How do you fucking deal with this? And, you know, you might find out some stuff along the way.
Yeah,
But,
and honestly, that could be because that's one of the reasons why I wrote the Earth situation as ambiguous, because you could adjust that based on how you want. And funnily enough, one of the possible colonist roles is penal colonist.
Yep.
You can be a prisoner who's literally shipped to space.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, like I really like the whole like add a narrative, but this is the problem of how invested do players get in the game. Oh god. Yeah, as I said, we've talked about like tabletop philosophy and stuff. Like how there's some people who are literally there just to roll dice and hit things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
and
kind of in the middle.
Theoretically, you could do that. I mean, there's my combat system's not going to be very robust, but it's going to exist.
Yeah.
Just because,
but like,
how the fuck do you deal with angry alien animals trying to eat you? You have to have some kind of, or what do you do when the guy does roll the random hidden agenda to murder people? How does he go about doing that, right?
Like, honestly, it might just be like.
Well, the way I'll model it is it'll be a quote unquote activity, which is basically anything you do in a tick, which is spending your time with, and it'll probably be like you have to make a certain level of skill roll to hit something, and then you do damage based on your weapon. Unarmed damage is like a d6 minus 2, minimum 1. So human beings have 8 health. Just punching people is going to take a while. You're probably, unless you roll really well, because there might be like a critical hit or topper system. Unless you roll really well, you're not going to punch a human to death in one punch. That takes effort. But, you know, hey, you can build guns and stuff, and you might want to build guns because they might be... Talking about exofauna will be a thing, which will be like, listen, on the one hand, they're alien stuff, go nuts. On the other hand, you know, because you're writing a story, trying to balance them out. So there can be rules easily right now, because I already have Armor and Pierce modeled. There can be, you know, weird hard shell creatures which are like, yeah, our fucking space pop guns and our survival knives are not going to cut it. Oh, though I don't know, have you looked at the possible random starting gear system and also gear stuff yet, Lucky?
Not yet.
Okay, then I will spoil this for you. You're going to be very happy. One of the things you can randomly roll and exists as a already statted out is a plasma cutter.
Yeah.
With a reference to Dead Space. It's the DS1 model plasma cutter. Which is basically like, normally it's a tool for heavy industry, but you can also use it to shoot boiling hot plasma at people a few meters away. And one of the upgrades is called, I haven't statted it out yet, but one of the upgrades is called Militarize, which is basically like, okay, we balanced the grip, we put some iron sights on it, now it's an actual gun. We increased the range an extra few meters, you can actually use it to just shoot people now. One downside, uses up power like a bitch. It really hurts, and it has a lot of pierce, so it will go through anything that humans are going to be wearing as body armor like butter. But boy howdy, it's not power efficient. Know what is power efficient? Knives. They don't use batteries. But yeah, so that's like, there's a couple different tiers of stuff, and I have ideas to like throw more sci-fi stuff. So some of the motivation will be that gear porn element, which will be like, gosh, you can only get certain items out of the starting kit, so it'll be like, to do my job, I'd really like this super fancy high-tech tool, but that means I have to justify to the others to spend resources to give me something that makes me really good at my job, which is always fun. Actually, no, Axe, that's going to be I'm trying to think of upgrades for the stone knife, because that's going to be very basic to build, but you might want to just skip it and get better resources. So one of the things you'll be able to do is to put an obsidian surgical grade edge on it, which will do some fun stuff. But the other thing I thought of is you can make it balanced, so it just gains a tag that it's a throwing knife, and you can throw it at people, which is good, because the survival knife is definitely not balanced for that, because it's got survival stuff in it. Like, you can use it as a fire starter. I put a lot of time and effort into some of these descriptions. The sheer amount of list of tools that are in the multi-tool is... Because I actually, once again, looked up all the different tools you can make a multi-tool. I can't read it right now, I'd die. But, yeah. So, that's I think, is like, there's 3 parts to this idea so far, which is just... One is just, how do you roleplay people who literally can't go home? Right, like the amount of money and effort for you to build a space program to travel interstellarly back to Earth would be an enormous pain in the ass, considering you have no industry when you start. The second part is just the kind of like the sandbox, kind of like terrain porn, like a game like Subnautica or like No Man's Sky, which is just like, look at all this weird shit you can run into and see in an alien world, right? These are experiences you can't necessarily get on Earth, or as one of the hidden agendas put, they're already explored on Earth. Somebody's already been to almost every corner of the Earth, and by the time the game is set, it's almost explicit that, like, somebody's mapped every corner of Earth. But that mountain, you're the first human to ever see or touch that mountain, kind of a feel. The third part is gear porn. It's all just, what kind of weird sci-fi shit do you want to build and use to survive? Do you want to build drones so you don't have to do any work yourself? You just sit at home and play on your PDA? Do you want to build cool vehicles so you can go places and do it yourself? Are you going to build, like, freaky high-tech tools so your job is more efficient? Are you going to build facilities which makes you get more out of less kind of stuff, you know? How are you going to, even just role-playing-wise, how are you going to live? Like, are you going to live in the shitty habdomes that are the most basic description that I've already described? Which is basically, like, it's a little, you know, semi-spherical room which you can convert to a living module, which holds, like, one person maybe 2 people in a double bed. And it's got, like, a little fold-out toilet and shower, and it's got it doesn't even have a kitchen, it has a food prep station. Are you going to live in that little box all your life, or do you want to build something more complex?
Like, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was also kind of excited about Mecha Musume, and that kind of just went, I don't know where.
Yeah, I don't know. That I mean, like I said, I've still rolled around that idea. It's just, I feel like the driving influence to actually turn that into a game kind of died somewhere on the vine. I feel like I'll come back to that project eventually. Maybe when I'm inspired by, like, the Azure Lane anime or the Girls Frontline animes. But much like how Mages of War went through cycles before it became something that can be even reasonably called a complete game, there were levels of, like, inspiration I needed to keep coming back to that and keep designing elements. Not that we ever got to play much of that either, but the Sky of Hope was kind of the same. I needed multiple promptings of mecha fiction to, like, be like, no, I'm going to finish turning this. I'm going to finish out all the details and all the hard work I need to do on this to make it something that's technically a game that plays.
All right, but I think this is a good time. We should start winding down, otherwise Omega's going to die.
Yeah, it's we've been going for 3.5 hours. It's 8:30 at night. I haven't eaten dinner. You can probably tell that my voice is getting scratchier and scratchier as we go on.
I've been trying to keep quiet so Omega will get out his thoughts and I won't, like, fuel him.
That's okay, I fueled myself. I said I wasn't going to talk about space, I'm going to talk about space.
I know. Yeah, you were like, God damn it.
Because I love space. Goddamn. I'll die for space.
Space.
All right. By the way, I was a little loud there, and that probably still kept on with normalized because I was slowly falling asleep and leaning into my microphone. Anyway, I'm going to do the thing.
Do the thing.
Which is say that if you like this video, please give it a like. If you have any comments on anything, any of our topics, because we did actually cover quite a few, leave them in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're new here and have not already, please subscribe to our channel. It lets you know when we post videos, and it makes us feel better about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we need another big duty production. Our kind of after our initial hump in the year, our new subs have slowed down a little bit. Maybe Voice will actually release that video we were in.
That'd be nice.
And of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early. You can get this episode in audio format for just $1 a month, and real convenient times right away when we're done with them. You don't have to wait the extra time for it to render into video, which does take time. And it just helps us out. It helps us promote stuff, and it helps us promote our plans like consolidating and stuff. And working towards bartending with Lucky. That's our current Patreon goal. which we are a decent chunk of the way to. You can check that out on Patreon. And I'm going to go eat something before I pass out, or maybe eat something and pass out. I don't know.
I'm going to go eat something and stick around more in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Hey, if I don't pass out, that's what I'm going to do.